Hey everybody, welcome back to the Let's Talk Movies podcast with me, John, and David, aka Shamrock Balls. And today here on the channel, we're going to be talking about another film celebrating its 50th anniversary, Dog Day Afternoon. And David, just give us your initial thoughts on the film.
Well, first of all, John, see you're recording from the United States. I'm on the other
Mm-hmm.
side of the Atlantic in Ireland here. Is there any special country that you would like to go to?
Well, it's not Argentina, right? Like in this movie, that's for
Or
sure.
Algeria, or is
Or
it
Algeria.
Wyoming?
Well, he doesn't even. I mean, that would have been my first. Like, I screwed up. I mean, this guy's talking about going to Wyoming. He has
No clue whatsoever.
no
No,
clue.
no clue at all. But yeah, as you were asking me here, so yeah, so this is like the third movie we have done this year, which is celebrating its 50th anniversary. And to be honest with you, two of them, it didn't even kind of dawn on me until we'd selected to do them that this is the 50th year. For me, yeah, this is probably my third favorite movie from that year, without a doubt. And my thoughts on it are just it's absolutely magnificent movie. It's absolutely brilliant. It was one of those movies, John, that I always kind of heard about people talking about, no mentioning, and Dog Day Afternoon. And I got this stage where I eventually thought to myself, I'm gonna have to give this movie a watch, especially when I seen what year it came out in as well. And it was also nominated for Best Picture that year, and it didn't disappoint.
Yeah, no, this one definitely deserved it. And I don't know, like this is pretty close with the other films of that year that got nominated for Best Picture. Like obviously we talked about Jaws and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest that won. But I just always have loved this movie every time I watch it.
Yeah.
This is probably my second favorite Sidney Lumet film. I still actually would probably put The Verdict above it a little bit for me, even over 12 Angry Men. I don't know if you put it that high.
Well, the thing is that I don't think I've seen too many of his movies. I haven't seen 12 Angry Men. I haven't seen The Verdict, but I have seen Serpico many years ago, and I really enjoyed it. So I can't even think if I've seen any of his other movies. But no, this is definitely one of my favorite movies of all time, probably. So it's pretty high for me. And it's funny you should say that. I was thinking about it the other night when I was watching the movie. For me, this is Al Pacino's best performance.
It might be overall. Like I put this up there, like when people talk about his best performances, and I always kind of put it right there with The Godfather. It's hard because Michael Corleone is Michael Corleone. It's hard to almost that character arc's the greatest character arc in film history, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way it goes over two films. And it's funny how John Cazale's in this movie too, just
Yeah.
like 1 year after they did it. But overall, this is such a fleshed out and a different character for the 1970s, especially. This was a very bold choice of Al Pacino to even take this role.
Yeah, and that was the thing as well. That's why I look The Godfather, iconic, as a masterpiece. Godfather 1 and 2, and his portrayal of Michael Corleone is outstanding. But I just think for one movie of a character study of this guy going through this situation that he's in, from start to finish, it's absolutely amazing to me. And this isn't something that I thought when I first watched the movie years ago. I loved it. I loved his performance. It's over time as I think I've became more of an Al Pacino fan the older I've got, when I start looking at all the movies that he's done throughout his career. And this is one that I always love watching him in. I always love revisiting. And that was the question that I wanted to ask you, was that crossed my mind, as much as we love Jack Nicholson, as much as we love One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, would you have begrudged Pacino winning the Oscar for Best Actor this year?
I wouldn't have minded it. I really feel like he got ripped off in the 1970s. The fact that he won, and I got to be fair on it. I haven't seen it in years. It felt too over the top, and I get it. That's what he became with the 90s. But the fact he won for A Scent of a Woman and never won for this movie, Serpico, the Godfather films,
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy to me. Like it's almost like, and I love Jack Nicholson, but Jack Nicholson got 3 of these.
Yeah, exactly. And Cuckoo's Nest was his first one. So if he hadn't won that, God knows which way Jack would have went, because I know that he was starting to get a wee bit peeved that he had been nominated so many times before Cuckoo's Nest and he never won. But look, I don't know. You can't begrudge Jack Nicholson that performance in Cuckoo's Nest. It's just I know that Pacino was nominated for this, and it's such a great performance. So, and you're right, because of the edginess of the time of the character he was playing. I find it very interesting that he didn't actually want to. At first, he said he wanted to do the movie, and when he read the script, he decided he didn't want to do the movie. And apparently, the reason being was that he, at that point in his life, he wasn't sure if he wanted to be a movie actor, and he thought to himself that he just wanted to kind of get away from movies. he says he didn't want to play a bank robber.
Yeah, which you know what? I was kind of just thinking as you were talking there about how Al Pacino and Jack Nicholson kind of like differ from each other. Al Pacino, especially at this time, was very much like an actor. Like he was just very much like, you know, a little bit on the like, I want to take these challenging roles. I want to be the guy. Like, whereas Jack Nicholson always kind of fit into like the Hollywood system. He seems like the kind of guy everyone gets along with, where Al Pacino was a little bit tougher, I feel like. And you know, he's kind of more on that New York side of things. Like that's kind of where Sidney Lumet would work. And obviously he kind of wanted to go do Broadway, and he would. A few years later, he would kind of stop and he would do Broadway for a while, mostly throughout the 1980s.
Well, he was doing stage work even before he was in the movies. And I think that's what he wanted to go back and do. You know, it's that thing we talked about it before, John, about some stage actors, some of the best actors in the world are stage actors, but they can't translate that onto the screen because it's a completely different form as such, because it's about doing takes and it's very slow and it's about setting the camera up and the director telling you stand here and look this way. And I'm not saying that's what Al Pacino was feeling, but I seen an interview with him. I was watching an interview with him and a recent interview about Dog Day, and he just said that he, at that particular point in his life, it wasn't the fact that he didn't want to do the movie. He just didn't, in his life where he didn't think that movies is where he wanted to be anymore. And I suppose after the success of The Godfather, maybe it was fame, maybe all the focus and the fame which came on to Pacino after them movies. Maybe that's what scared him a bit. But of course, the producer, Marty Bergman, who produced Serpico, Sidney Lumet directed that, and he convinced him to read the script again. And when he read the script again, he says he really could. He really got the character of Sonny, and that's when he phoned him. Well, Marty had said, "Look, do it for me," and he was like, "All right, well, I'll do it for you," you know. Of course, Marty Bergman would go on and produce Scarface as well. So, so he had that stage experience, and then dipped his foot in the movies, and then this was the next one for him.
And it actually kind of makes sense because this kind of does play along a lot like a play in a lot of ways. So you could probably perform this on stage if they haven't already, just because there's not many locations that they go to.
No, and that was the great thing they said about Sidney Lumet, was that he done a lot of rehearsal before the movie started, and he also said that they didn't want to do it on a soundstage in the backlot. They used a real location, and that was a warehouse. They turned it into a bank, and they made like removable walls so they could move the cameras about and stuff like that within the bank. And so you could, and that the glass and all in the front of the warehouse, so you could see out on the street. So that everything was just in that one space, John. So they didn't have to move about or go to a location, and you know, so everything could be done there and then. And of course, as you say, like a stage play, he done an awful lot of rehearsal as well before they actually started shooting.
Yeah, which makes sense because you want to have these actors who are going to spend a lot of time in one location, which this is what Sidney Lumet does best. Like in 12 Angry Men, you know, he's got to control a bunch of different people in one space, making sure they're not talking over each other, making sure everything is coming crisp and clear. And I think that's why you get a director like this, because he was like hired, like, you know, it wasn't like a project that they came together. He was like, oh, you know, this would be a good next project for Sidney because it looks like something that's kind of like fits within his wheelhouse. And it's perfect because I think the writer said that like he only showed up for the first day of production, and that was it because he knew it was in good hands.
Yeah, exactly. So the director was very experienced and knew what he was doing. And as you said about the writer there, it was on of true events, which makes it even more makes it a wee bit more kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's actually unbelievable. This really took place in I think it was Brooklyn or Queens in 1972, I want to say is when it happened. And the fact that this really happened is kind of unbelievable in my opinion, because I guess, you know, people would do things like this, but the fact they drew that much attention that day is pretty crazy to me because it feels so big in this movie, like such a big event, and kind of reminds me a little bit of like Do the Right Thing in the sense that it's also so hot out that day. Like that's why it's called Dog Day Afternoon. The dog days of summer, and you know, that's something that, again, Sidney Lumet can just, I feel like he captures very well in his production design. It's like these guys do look all really, really hot, and guys and girls.
Yeah, and I think as well, when we get into the movie, you'll see the cops and the FBI are playing all the tricks in the book just to draw them out so they don't give in to their demands, so they don't kill any of the hostages and things like that. And I find it interesting that, like you say, I mean, I don't know very much about the real event, but in my mind, it's kind of like early 70s. You know, television was relatively new, and I think that, you know, news broadcasting on television and things like that was fairly knew as well. So I think that when something like this happened, as you say, it became an event. You see that in the movie, how all the crowds gather, all the cops, then all the newspaper people arrive, and they've got cameras and microphones, and it becomes kind of like a circus or like a carnival, and that's exactly what, as you say, Sidney Lumet really captures well in this. And I do like that, as you say, as the movie goes on, how sweaty to get and tired looking and run down. And another great thing that he says he'd done, which I always like, and I kind of touched on it in Jaws, was that the people that work in the bank, he didn't want big characters. I think that he said that a lot of these guys that were cast for the movie were actors that Al Pacino worked with on stage. He had kind of recommended them, and then they tested them, and then they hired them. And the people that worked in the bank, he didn't want like big characters. He just wanted like normal, average, everyday people. He said to them, look, you just wear your own clothes. We'll pay an extra $2 a day and just use your own accents and just talk the way you normally talk. And during rehearsals, there were certain scenes where he just got them the ad lib, and he brought us the sound man in and recorded their dialogue, just talking back and forward. He says then him and the screenwriter would go away, they would listen to it, and they would rewrite the scenes with their dialogue. So when they went to shoot it, they were actually saying what they were doing in improvisation, and that brought a realism to the situation. It brought a realism to those characters. And another thing which I note as well about this movie is that there's no score in the whole movie at all, and that's another thing that he does to bring a realism to the movie.
Yeah, and that's very much of the 1970s, and very much of like Sidney Lumet. It's just I think he called it the difference between realism and naturalism. It's like supposed to feel like this is really something that could actually like happen, because it did actually happen. So you want to try and shoot it almost like something that William Friedkin was doing in the 70s, like almost documentary style, and like where the cuts are. It's like nothing cinematic. There's no dissolves or anything like that. It's supposed to just feel like you're supposed to feel the heat of the situation, almost very like John Cassavetes of the 70s, but a little more like cleaned up and focused. Still feels like a film.
Yeah, exactly. And it's got that real, as you say, 70s feel about it. So I kind of direction those early 70s movies were going with French Connection and Exorcist and stuff like that, even Cuckoo's Nest, you know what I mean? And Jaws, to a certain extent, was kind of going with that kind of naturalistic and realistic feel that we were getting from those 70s movies, away from that, to me, unnatural feel we were getting in the 60s with movies. We were still really filming on sound stages. You had a few movies that went out location and stuff like that, but yeah, I definitely feel the shift, and this is one of these movies. And I think because it's real, it feels real. It's more hard hitting that way, John.
Yeah, I think so. I think the big moments in this movie that can feel more shocking because they feel really like, obviously we'll get into it, but like the end of the movie, especially, the way that's done, the way they edit that is, first of all, it's different from the rest of the movie, but it feels actually real, and it's shocking and comes out of almost nowhere.
Yeah, I love that as well. Well, as you say, we get the way the tension builds as they get towards that. But speaking of which, John Cazale, who's in this, as you mentioned there, was in The Godfather with Al Pacino. I didn't realize he was in this movie till I started watching it all them years ago, and I was like, there's Fredo.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's incredible. This guy, he's only been in films that were nominated for Best Picture. Every movie he was ever in got nominated for Best Picture. It's unbelievable. And, obviously he tragically passed away. And there's a line in this movie that like makes it so much sadder, because it's almost like tragic irony, like where he says, "I don't want to get the cancer." Like, obviously it's referring to his character, but in real life, he not too long after this, he'd get cancer and pass away.
Yeah, that's right. Well, by all accounts, there's a Sidney Lumet suspects he was sick while they were making this movie.
He does look a little bit sick of that. I'm like, because I look at his face, it's like it looks a little off compared to like only 1 year earlier. He looks very healthy in The Godfather Part 2. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was already sick by now. And like kind of like with Chadwick Boseman, he doesn't want to like tell people.
Yeah, well, he tells a story that he suspects he was unwell, and there was a day that apparently on set that he blew up, and Sidney Lumet says he didn't understand why, and he said that I speak to him, and Al Pacino says that just leave it, and he says he suspects that Al Pacino knew that he was unwell. You can even tell he's very skinny as well in this movie. I know he was always skinny, but he looks, as you say, he looks ill in this movie, I think. And but the thing is, as you say, John, a tremendous actor, absolutely brilliant actor. Died far too young, and every movie he was in, he was nominated for Best Picture. And again, like I love his performance in this movie. And again, that was somebody who Al Pacino recommended for the part, but the original part was supposed to be a boy. It was like a 15-year-old boy. And when he brought John Cazale in, Sidney Lumet was like, what the hell is this? This guy looks 30. But when he read for the part, he went, no, this is perfect. And he's seen how Al Pacino and him kind of worked off each other because they were very good friends and they worked on stage even before The Godfather. So they knew each other very well.
Yeah, they have like a natural chemistry, a good back and forth that, you know, you don't have to actually like build in, like try and build it up. They already naturally have it, and they should, because they're doing this together.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But the funny thing they mentioned as well is that in building the characterizations for the movie, because the people says they didn't really know the kid much about the kid that was robbing the bank with Sonny. They says that within the movie that they wanted to imply that Sonny and Sal didn't really know each other that well, and that as the movie goes on, that's when they actually start to get to know each other more. So that's what they were doing there with those two characters.
I can see that a little bit. I feel like as you watch the movie, Al Pacino in the beginning seems to have a lot more faith in Sal, and then as Sal starts to talk more, I think he starts to realize that maybe I had a little bit too much faith in this guy.
Well, when they said that, it showed you a few clips from the movie. Now, I watched the movie twice for the podcast, but they showed you a few clips, and I kind of see what they meant, because there's things that Sonny done, and Sal's going, why'd you do that for? And there's things that Sal does, and Sonny's looking at him going, like, what are you at? As if this isn't well planned out.
No.
There's things they agreed on, which they're reneging on. But also, when I was watching it for the second time, John, or the other night, because watching it a wee bit more with a critical eye, as we say, for the pod, I actually thought to myself, as the movie goes on, Sonny is slowly kind of distances himself from Sal, and is kind of hedging his bets on the fact that he's going to make him the fall guy.
Yeah, because we'll get into it like later. And like when Matthew Broderick's dad comes in and says, like, you know, we'll take care of Sally. He's like, you think I'm gonna throw him under the bus? Like, he's like, but he doesn't go back in there and tell him what he said. So no, he leaves that to himself. So it makes you think, like, I looked at this movie a little bit different, Al Pacino, than I ever looked at Sonny before. I don't know if it's just because we, like you just said, through the critical eye, I kind of looked at his character a little bit more reckless than I had thought about before.
Yeah, as I'm saying, I've seen the movie, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 times over the years.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
The movie doesn't.
You could be right, but I'm older, a bit more mature. Well, that's debatable, but a bit more mature. And it's kind of like, and I'm kind of watching it again the other night. I'm going to myself, hold on a wee minute. I'm looking at the wee looks, the wee nods, and the winks, and it's almost like, look, the talk about great acting is being able to think something and the audience can tell what you're thinking. That's great acting. And I'm looking at Al Pacino and I'm going to myself, he is setting him up to be the fall guy here. He is implying that Sal is the dangerous one. Sal's the crazy one. Almost if he can't get out of this because of Sal. And to me, it's just because I think he knows that, well, maybe he knows he's not going to get out of it. He doesn't want to be killed.
Yeah, I mean, at some point you have to realize, and I think he realizes pretty fast, that there's probably no scenario where we get out of this completely clean. And if that's the case, then I'm not going to be the one that goes down. And that's honestly what happens.
Yeah, and the funny thing is too, and I know we're going to get into it, John, but a few wee things that just come to mind here. Like, for example, the phone calls. He has a phone call with Leon, his second wife, and he has a phone call with Angie, his first wife. But the thing was, like, Leo, it's like we talk about movies being, you know, not being spoon fed and being subtly kind of told things, or learn about characters as movies progress. In this movie, you learn about these characters as they progress, and you learn about Sonny as you progress. And he comes across as this kind of like, you know, don't want to hurt anybody. We just want the money. And then you meet Leon, and it's all about, you know, oh, is he doing it for the love of this man? He's doing it to get this man a sex change. And it's like, oh, well, maybe he's not a bad guy. Just he loves this man this much. He's willing to rob a bank for him. But then when Leon starts telling us about his character, you start going, oh, hold on a wee second. This guy's unhinged. This guy's violent, and he's manipulative, and he's a jealous person. But then when he phones Angie's like, I can't believe you would do that, or I can't believe you're doing this. You've never hurt anybody in your life. So what kind of character is he really? It's a contradiction. The woman who he's married to, because who he's supposed to love, I mean, he's married her first, had children, supposed to love her. He's a different person to the man he's married to. So what kind of person is he? So there's all this stuff, I think, through the movie of is that who is Sonny? You
Yeah,
know,
and
because and even the manager says that to him, says don't pretend to to be an angel of kindness.
no, and that's exactly because the manager knows what he is. I just think that he doesn't know exactly who he is, and but you could just see how he treats when we get into those scenes, how he treats his wife and how he treats his second wife, which one he truly cares about, and which one he probably just feels like he has to be with.
Yeah, who he just puts up with.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I love my wife, but that was a very relatable scene where she's rambling on, and his eyes are popping out of his head, and he's just got his heads in his hand.
That's
I've
brilliant.
been there.
Will you shut the fuck up and listen to me? Just listen to me.
You see that?
Like, just shut the fuck up. Like, you know. Yeah.
But do you notice something about that scene, John, as well? As that scene is that when I watched it the second time. I watched Dog Day Afternoon for the first time on Blu-ray when I got it about 2 years ago. Loved it again. I went, it's such a great movie. I forgot how good it was. It was kind of like what was the movie I haven't watched? Was it Cookies Desk I talked about? I haven't watched in years, and I always loved it, but I was like, I forgot how good it was. So watched it again 2 years ago when I got on Blu-ray. Forgot how good it was. Thought that's a phenomenal movie. One of Pacino's best, might be his best performance in my opinion. And then I say I watched it twice for the pod, and the second time I was watching it, and because it's a wee bit more familiar in your mind, watching it for the second time, I thought to myself, know who his wife is?
Who?
His mother. Yeah, his wife is his mother. In other words, the character.
Oh, she's just like his mother.
She's
Yes.
just like his mother. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
she is.
Yeah,
Who doesn't
that's
listen
that.
to a word he says. No.
Doesn't listen, doesn't let him get a word in, doesn't listen to him, rambles on and all the rest, and they talk about this situation about people being alike, that they don't get on, whatever. But the mother then starts blaming the wife. You wouldn't be with Leon if she treated you well. But when you look at the wife just is exactly like the mother.
Yeah, and of course, those I always say it. I've seen it so many times. Two people who are alike always hate each other because they hate themselves.
Yeah. Well, it kind of reminds me of, for example, It. I've read the book It, and basically the boy in it, I can't remember his name now, who has the he always thinks he's ill because his mother is always making him think he's ill. And she's an overweight woman, and
Yeah.
and in the book he hates his mother because she's always making him believe that he's ill. But when he grows up, he then marries a woman exactly like his mother.
Yeah, because it's unfortunately it's like what you know and like what you think a person should be, and it's almost like subconsciously you do it because it doesn't seem like that's the person he would want to be with because he doesn't seem to care too much for his mother. He doesn't seem to care too much for her, but it almost feels like he's going through the motions essentially of being a good like father and husband, and like for
Yeah.
some reason they think he's a saint, and then Leon, who he wants to be with, thinks he's kind of a horrible person over the last 6 months.
Yeah. Well, like you say, John, I think it could be one of those things. It's of the times, whereas like where the likes of being gay wasn't as accepted as it is now, and it could be just the fact of at those times you're expected to meet a woman and get married and settle down and have children, and as we say, it's just all a front. That side of his life. That's probably why she says you wouldn't hurt anybody. He doesn't care, so he's not emotionally involved with that woman. He's not emotionally attached. So, apart from that, listening to him and him exploding and telling her to shut up, I think he's living a lie there, and all that other stuff doesn't matter to him. So it could be that because of the times,
Yeah, I mean, like the fact is that he was and robbed this for Leon essentially. Didn't do anything to care about his own wife, who he's got a wife and 2 kids on welfare. The mom says later in the movie, so it's like you'd be willing to do it for him, but you wouldn't do it for your wife and kids. It kind of speaks to the volumes of the kind of person he is too.
Yeah, and the fact that, and you see the look. I know we're going to get in the movie, but these are things that come to my mind, but I may have not have taken notes of. But when he's writing his will, and he mentions about his son, who's going to be the little man who's going to be the man of the house now. You see the girl who's actually writing down the notes of the will, kind of looking at him, as if you're doing all this, but you're. In my opinion, she's looking at him as if you're doing all this, but you're willing just to kind of walk away from your kids. You're willing to just give everything up. If his plan comes off, you're willing to leave this country and leave your kids.
Yeah. Who's a worse father, him or Richard Dreyfuss in Close Encounters?
Oh, that's a tough one. Throw
it all away.
Yeah, I gotta go for Sonny. Sonny's worse because Sonny's worse because the aliens twisted Dreyfuss's mind, whereas Sonny just done this all of his own bad.
Yeah, he's a little bit confused. But you ready to get into the movie? Because I think it goes right into it.
Yeah, sure. No problem, mate. Of course we will. Just as I say, that just before we start, a few wee notes on the movie here as well. It's just that this film took 6 weeks to shoot, so
That's insane.
yeah, and it was shot over September, October 1974. They had a budget of between 3.5 and $3.8 million. So big enough budget.
Yeah, especially for the time. And yeah, I saw a little thing that said that when they were filming this, it's supposed to be the hot days of summer, and it was cold out. There was points when you could see the actors' breath, so they would have to put ice in their mouths to cool it off, which is pretty interesting. That's just the movie magic. Because when you watch this movie, they capture that heat so well, so they do fine.
Yeah, that's right. You put ice cubes in the mouth to stop the steam coming out, because obviously September, October in New York would be started to cool down. We're going into this autumn time, and it's really funny you should say it, John, because I just feel as if, see, when you have that kind of low sun in autumn or fall, and as long as you're not feeling it, it can look warm.
Yeah, that's true. It can look warm. It does look warm. It just doesn't feel warm. That's what makes the beauty of autumn so well. And you don't have to worry about the trees or anything around here, because it's the city. It's all cement.
Yeah, exactly. So say we start off here. It says, as you mentioned earlier on, what you're about to see is true. It happened in Brooklyn, New York, on August 22nd, 1972.
Crazy. And
Yeah.
my mother was living in Queens, New York at the time when this really did happen. Not too far from there.
What age was your mum at the time, if you don't mind me asking?
In 72, she was 2.
So it was 2 years of age.
Yeah, she was born in 70, my mother.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
My dad was probably living in the city too, but he would be like 6 or 7 at the time.
Yeah. Where's your dad from, in New York?
I think he also lived in Queens, and then he moved out to Long Island when he was, I think, like 9 or 10. And then my mom came out here, same thing, like 9 or 10 with her family. But they were in the city in the 70s, a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so interesting. So this kind of time, like they remember this, like from their young childhoods, like how the police cars and everything looked in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, like I love seeing that movies. I love seeing like New York in the 70s and 80s. And from what I'm led to believe is that it was very full of crime then, and a lot more run down than what it is now. And apparently very scary to live in New York in the 70s.
Yeah, from all I've heard, that in New York in the 1970s was a miserable experience, and then like about the 1990s, it turned around, and people will tell you that it's like as bad as it was in the 70s now, which is just an utter fabrication. It's not that bad at all. Like, I go to the city all the time. You can walk around without having to really worry. Is it the cleanest place in the world? No, but it never was.
Yeah. Such a big city too, John. Such a big place.
Yeah.
Many million people live in New York.
Yeah, it's like packing sardines in there. That's not something for me.
14 million or something.
It's crazy. Whatever they put in Manhattan Island is absolutely insane. I think we're too packed on Long Island. I don't want to go out there where it could be a little bit miserable sometimes. It's good to visit there. I couldn't live there.
There's only 6 million people in Ireland.
Yeah, see that I like.
So there is, and listen, Belfast is getting too busy for me. I go out there now and I go, oh Jesus, I need to get out of here. There's probably only 500,000 people there in the city.
Hey, listen, I want to go to a town, one of those small towns when there's like 4 stores lined up, and then go to my house in the woods.
Yeah, the older I get, that's the way I want to be. It's want to get away from everything. Yeah. But so we hear the Elton John song, Amarina, great tune.
Great, yeah, of course.
Yeah, and I love that montage of New York showing all the different locations.
Yeah, that makes me like nostalgic, even though I wasn't there for that. Just like seeing people outside like that, it's kind of something that we don't have anymore. People don't play outside like that as much.
Yeah, and that's something you talk about nostalgic. It makes me nostalgic for, like, that's what I say, those New York movies of the 70s and the 80s, like Ghostbusters and things like that. Seeing like you say, the old style cars and the buildings, and I know buildings don't change that much, but the decor does. So is more modernized and things like that, and people's clothes and all that stuff. But as you mentioned, yeah, it's a really hot day, and this is where they got the name of the film from. So this is like a dog day afternoon, a real long hot summer day was known as a dog day, and we see, and also as well, seeing this month, as you see, what you don't realize now, it's Sonny's wife coming out of the cinema with her 2 children.
I never noticed that.
Did you not notice that? See the montage? You see her walking out with the 2 kids.
Didn't notice that. That was her.
Well, the movie above them is A Star Is Born.
Oh, really? That must have been the Chris Christopherson, Barbara Streisand one at the time, huh?
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, it was probably playing at the theaters in 72. Good movie.
Yeah, I can't say I've seen it. I heard it's good.
Yeah, I like the newer one better, but that's probably the second best one. Than the Julie Garland one, I'd put it third. I've seen them all. They hit all the same story beats.
Well, well, John, can you tell me something new?
That one's good.
I haven't seen any of them, to be honest, although it's been recommended to me.
I
What
think you'd
has?
like it. I think you'd appreciate it.
Yeah, like people have said, like it's not your type of film, but I think you would like it.
Yeah.
I think it would be surprised. I think you're maybe put off because of what you think it is, but it's not really what you think it is going to be. But yeah, then we get to the car outside the bank, John, and then we can. And I love this because there's no score in the movie. The fact that they put a song on at the start and it's playing over like the montage, and when we get to the car, it then lowers down and they're listening to it inside the car. And I think it was the director didn't want to have any music at all, but it was somebody put it in as a temp track at the start and he liked it, this actual song. He went, well, we'll keep it.
That makes sense. And I do like that little edit. That is pretty cool. I love it when they do that little trick. Like it's playing and then it's like, oh, they were just listening to it in the car.
Yeah, so it kind of makes sense for a movie that you want realism and not to have it like a dramatic overscore or underscore. That, oh, we've got a real song in the movie. It's because it's on the radio. So they play that wee trick there. And a young fella gets out of the car. Now this young fella is a guy called Gary Springer.
Do you know this guy?
I know this guy. He was in Jaws 2. He's one of the teenagers
Which
on the
is
raft.
what, 1 year after this?
Jaws 2 about 78. So a couple of years after this one.
Oh yeah, this is 75. So 3 years after this.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah. So he was a little bit younger here.
A little bit younger in this one here. I'm not sure if this was his first movie. I know he'd been on television and stuff. But then he gets out, walks over, looks at the bank, comes back, walks to the car, sees Al Pacino, John Cazale sitting in the seat. He's whispering something to him. And then John Cazale walks into the bank. So he does. And then Pacino then enters with a box. And the security guard lets Springer in saying it's closing time, which is very odd. Like I usually they just say it's closing time, come back tomorrow. He's like,
Yeah,
you want to come in?
He's like, you sure you want to come in? We're closing. And it's like, it's almost like what I wish they would do at like my job sometime. It's like, you sure you want to come in? You sure you want to be the last guy in the store? You want to be that guy?
Make him feel guilty.
Yeah.
But yeah, he comes in, I says close time, and then Cazale pulls the gun on the manager, which is a man called Mr. Mulvaney. And so that's when Springer comes up and says, I think Springer's name's Stevie. Sorry, Gary Springer's, he's Stevie. He tells Pacino, he says, I've got bad vibes about this. And he's like, maybe we should rob somewhere smaller. And Pacino says, well, we can't. He's already pulled the gun. So then Pacino pulls his weapon out of the box. And I love how he struggles with it. And then it's all the ribbon all stuck around it as well.
Yeah, because again, this is right away. This is our first clue that these guys are not professionals. Very different from the robbers in Reservoir Dogs. Like all those guys are professionals. These guys are on a whim. You can just see it from the first guy, Stevie, like how nervous he is. The fact like Sal seems professional, but like he flips the gun out, it's all over the place. Not anything like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator 2.
Nobody move. Get over there.
No, definitely not. If he had a box of roses as well, would have been better, but he didn't. And you're right, they're fumbling, and the fact that they're coming in to do it, as we find out when closing time, might have been smart because that means that they could have just closed up and nobody would be trying to get in. But we'll find out soon that it was a bad decision to come at that time of day. That's when Stevie says, he pulls the gun on the security guard and says to Sonny, I can't do it.
Oh yeah, I can't do it, Sonny.
He's like, what?
This guy's such a moron here. It's like so ridiculous. And then like he calls over to Sal. And Sal's like, just let him go then.
Yeah, I love how when he calls, he's like, Sal, but they're looking around the pillar. They don't know where they are. And he says, Stevie can't do it. And you're right. He says, fuck him, let him go. And so he says to Scooter, let him out. And of course, he shepherds Stevie out and he says, Stevie, the keys. And he's
the
like,
keys, Stevie.
Stevie. And I wondered here, I'm watching this, okay? And you know, I'm not 100% sure where Al Pacino's from. I think you're right. Is he from the East Coast?
I think he's from New York. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Al Pacino is actually from New York.
Because I feel as if he's putting on like a thicker New York. Is he?
It's from New York City. I know what you're saying, and I think it's the cigarettes because his voice has changed so much from like his early part of his career to what he sounds like now. And I assume, like I said to my wife yesterday about it, I was like, did something happen? Like, because I had heat on too. I was like, he just doesn't even sound like the same person.
Yeah. Well, I understand what you're saying. There's like young Pacino, then there's like middle-aged Pacino, and then there's old Pacino where he's like, hoo-ah. Hello, Pacino. You know what I mean? So But I just feel as if he's trying to put on I mean, you know, obviously know better than me. It's like me being here. I know there's different types of accents, even though we're a small country, right? But like we have regional accents, even though the country's so small. And believe there's even regional accents within Belfast. Like I can tell if somebody's from like west or east, you know what I mean, or north, but I can tell there's a different twang to their voice. So it almost feels as if he's trying to put on a certain New York accent.
He could be trying to do a Brooklyn accent, which could be like, he's from New York City. I don't know. It just says New York City. I don't know which, but that just means one of the 5 boroughs. But the accents in this movie, because I think the direction for Leon was like, like do Queen's mother. And I'm like, when I hear the mother talking, like that, unfortunately, I hate to say it, is very similar to my own mother, and I hate it. Like it's and then my grandmother or my mom, because they're Italian. Like my mom's Italian, my grandmother's an Italian woman. Like I come from my dad's side, like they all come from Ireland, so they're all very different. But the Italian stuff, oh my god, it's so like the way his wife sounds, like that just sounds like people on my mom's side of the family. It's very accurate.
Well, funny you should say that. See, when I seen him say that about the Queen's mother, it know what it reminded me of? Sopranos.
Yeah, like those people, I know those people, and I, on Long Island, like we have a little bit of a different accent, but you get some of those people out here.
Yeah, no, I actually think the accent's class, but I just feel as if Pacino's putting it on a wee bit thicker, and I don't know whether or not maybe is that his real accent back then? Was he toning it down in the other movies he was in? I know he's supposed to be from New York and The Godfather, but it's a different type of character, so I just feel as if he's putting it on a wee bit thicker in this. But of course, Stevie says, "How am I going to get home?" And he says, he says, "Get public transport. Give me the keys. We need the car." He was going to take the car and leave them there.
I know. That's the thing. He was just going to like leave them there. Like, what are you thinking?
I know the other one's going to rob the place and take the money. And but anyway, they let him out, and he pulls the drapes and he sprays the cameras. And of course, he tells Stevie comes running back and tells him about a woman that's hiding under one of the desks, and he comes up, he calls her a squirrel. He says, "What are you, a squirrel? Get out of there."
And the credits, it lists her as the squirrel on Wikipedia, which is crazy.
Seriously?
Yeah.
He calls her a squirrel again later on when she gets a phone call. He says, who's Jenny, I think her name is, or something. And he says, she comes out, goes, "It's me." And he goes, "Oh, the squirrel."
Oh, the squirrel. Yeah, like you're supposed to already be referring to yourself as that.
Yeah, that's what I like about his character in as well. He's very funny. Some of the comments he's making, the whole kind of serious situation they're in, there's that levity to the film with the dialogue.
Yeah, exactly. Like he still seems like a real person. Like he's still like genuine in certain spots, which is kind of good to his character.
Yeah. And so Sonny tells him that they're going to get things done. We're going to get things done, as he keeps saying. We're going to keep it rolling. We're going to get it done. And then nothing gets rolling and nothing gets done.
No, it's supposed to be he's like in and out in 30 minutes. I think it ends up being a 14-hour robbery.
That's right. But he tells him to open the vault. And this is it, where they go in there. And he says the manager goes to use the spot key, but Sonny catches him. And he says, "What are you doing there?" And he says, manager knows right away. Mulvaney knows right away. He says, "My mind's not right." And he says, "Will you get your mind right?" He says, I love how he says, one of my favorite lines, John. He says, "I'm a Catholic and I don't want to hurt anyone."
Yeah, I'm a Catholic. I don't want to hurt anyone. Like, it's like, okay, well, I guess. I mean, he still gets around the manager. The manager's like trying, but he doesn't realize that Sonny worked in a bank. So like, you can't pull certain tricks on him. He's got enough like detail. Like, he's still not the best, obviously, because look what happens when they get in the vault.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I'm a Catholic, but he's robbing the bank, and as we later find out, he's cheating on his wife as well. And bigamy, is that what's called? Bigamy? What do you call it? What do you call it when you have multiple marriages? There's a name for that, isn't there?
I don't know. I just know it's illegal.
I think it's bigamy. I could be wrong there. Look that up or edit that out.
I really am not entirely sure. I mean, I just watched Dewey Cox yesterday, and he got married twice, and both of his wives were mad about that. He's like, "I didn't know that. I thought I was doing the right thing."
It's that I would imagine one marriage is hard enough. You don't need any more than that.
I agree.
You'd know better than me. So, but yeah, he tells him no alarms, no games, and Sonny tells a bank clerk to put the money in a bag, and she starts crying. That's all there is. $1,100. They picked up the money earlier. So he asks the bank teller to clear the empty tills.
Yeah, which makes sense. Especially since there's no money in the vault, you got to just try and get as much money as you can to make this worth it. Like, you just wasted all your time, and doesn't turn out to be worth it, in my opinion.
No, well, I mean, I think I'm watching this and I'm going, you know what? He should be getting out of there right now.
Yeah, like you know what? I like these people have seen your face. You can probably in 1972 when this actually happened, probably get out there without anyone seeing you.
Yeah, because see, as soon as they come in and lift it this morning, it's like, right, we leave, take what we can. But I don't know, he's taking like minimal petty cash from the tills. I don't know how much is in there. And of course, she tries to give him the marked bills, and as you say, he says, I worked in a bank. I know how this works. I don't get it. He's acting a wee bit of a big shot here, and yeah, he's acting a wee bit of a big shot, and Sonny then takes the keys from Howard, the security guard, and they are going to leave actually. Yeah. When the insurance man across the road sees smoke from the fire, he plays in the bill. So why is he? I didn't look at this. Why is he burning the book?
He said he wanted to burn the register, which
The register?
the register. I don't know if that's like what they keep on file for the day, like who came in and out. Like I'm not entirely sure what that is exactly. I think it's like something like that would be now on a computer, but they used to keep it for the 70s or like
Yeah.
whenever like banks were, because the bank is obviously have no computers in it. Everything's being done by paper at this point.
But why is he burning it?
I just think he was thinking that like that way there's no record of them being there or something like that. Like, that'd be the only logical reason I had, because I'm not too sure what the reason would be.
Is it to do with the money that's been deposited that day?
That's also possible. Like all the money that the bank would have, or like they thought that
the bills.
yeah, the numbering on the bills. Yeah, that's probably all written
Trace
down.
the bills. The money he's stolen.
Yep, because there had to be a way, because the money's still insured by the FDIC, because I saw it on the sign on the front there that they were. So that means the money is still insured. That means that they are tracking every single dollar that goes in and out of there. And if he burns that, then they couldn't track everything for the day. Like today, that's all on the computer.
Yeah, it's on the computer, and obviously today is completely different. When you go into a bank with security cameras and I don't know, we have glass up and all the rest. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is like a bank. There's just a door.
Glass.
Yeah.
just the doors. Like walking into like an estate agents
Yeah.
or something. Do you know what I mean? Or a lobby somewhere. But yeah, that's what it could be. It could be the money that was deposited that day. They maybe have to take serial numbers or something. I don't know. That's what I'm kind of thinking here. So he's decided to burn it. But of course, the insurance guy across the road, he sees the fire, and yeah, he comes across, and yeah. So Sonny goes to lock the staff in the vault when one of the girls needs to go to the toilet. I love how he's trying to be compassionate here. Like I don't know why she's asking to go to the toilet. I don't know whether she's trying to stall him or what. But I love how Sal turns around and says, see, now they all want to go.
Yep. I mean, that just shows you the difference in the two characters. He's trying to be the nice one. Like, it doesn't work. But Sal right away is like, screw it. Why do we have to even worry about these people? Even though they're going to lock them in a vault, they're too dumb to realize that they don't have air.
Yeah. But even he goes to close the gate just with the bars, and she's like, oh, I need to go to the toilet. That's why I'm sitting thinking at this stage, you should be out that door as quick as possible and into that car and away. And then that's it. Never mind. Lock him in there. Who cares whether they need to go to the toilet? But I don't know, is that supposed to show how stupid he is, or is that supposed to show he's not a hardened criminal, or he does have he's at the softer side. You know what I mean? So it could be a combination of all three.
I think he's the first one. I think it's the first crime he's ever committed, so he doesn't know what to do exactly. Like, and he's still like, I think that he's like, again, we'll see the confliction in him throughout the movie, but I do think that he's like a good person, or he believes he's a good person throughout. So he doesn't want to like be completely mean to these people. Meanwhile, Sal's like, I don't care. Like, I came here for one reason, and that reason.
Yeah. And of course, when he brings her to the toilet, there's another girl in the toilet. Maria's in the toilet. And so he's had enough, and he's like, great, that's it. He puts them all back in the vault. And I love this. He lifts the bin.
Yeah.
He says, there's your toilet. And hands him that. But the next thing is the phone goes, and it's Mulvaney.
Yeah, what an introduction, huh?
Yeah, Mulvaney tells Sonny it's for him, and I love how there's like a pause, John, where they're like, me? He's like, who's phoning me here? Who knows I'm here? And when he picks it up, you hear the guy on the other line saying, what are you doing in there? And he's like, who's this? And he says, this is Detective Sergeant Eugene Moretti. Asshole, we got you by the balls.
Yeah, it's funny how his tone starts like that and how it shifts pretty damn quickly away from this.
Yeah, I think, like, another thing watching this again, John, I love watching how the police and the FBI go through the different techniques of trying to catch this guy without him killing anybody. And like as I say, I haven't watched this movie loads of times. I've seen it years ago a few times and watched it again. And obviously I think that, as you say, because Sonny and Sal aren't really criminals, never done this before, they can't tell when they're being manipulated, or they can't see the mistakes they're making because they're in a desperate situation. And so I think you say they're conflicted, sometimes more Sonny than Sal, because Sonny's kind of like doesn't know whether or not he's doing the right thing all the time. And he wants to, sometimes it's like he wants to do the right thing, but he knows he can't do the right thing. So he's kind of like walking a tightrope there between being the good guy and the bad guy, which is to his benefit where the hostages are concerned, but it's to his detriment in the long run. I think that's what gets him deeper and deeper as the film goes on. But you're right, this cop at first, when he eventually, you see all the cop cars arriving onto the scene, and he hangs up, and he implies to the manager Mulvaney that he tripped the alarm, but he tells him he wouldn't risk his salary to be a hero, so it wasn't him. So I'm wondering who phoned the cops on him. Do you think it was the insurance guy?
I always thought that the insurance guy thought it was a little strange. I mean, I thought the manager handled the insurance guy the best he could, but I think the insurance guy thought there's something a little strange here.
Yeah.
And then I think you're able, and like you said, like you could just look through the front windows. Like it's hard to cover it up. Like, why are the shades down? You're still here. There was a fire in there. What's going on here? I think he would call the cops just in case, because bank robberies then were probably a lot more common.
Yeah, and easier to get away with. So probably more people were doing it.
Exactly. These guys thought they could just pull this off, like never ever having robbed anything before this. But they're like, probably somebody else in the neighborhood's done it. We can do it too.
Yeah, and the thing is too is that there's a scene later on where somebody says, I can't remember who it says, I can see you through the window, and they go, oh shit.
Yeah.
So he's probably the same. See him standing there with a gun.
Yeah, they're just not bright. And that's the problem. They very different from the next movie we're talking about when it comes to bank robberies.
Yeah, who certainly are professionals, no doubt about that. But yeah, so the phone goes and Sonny tells him if the bastards don't leave the bank alone, they're going to start throwing bodies out. But it's that girl, the squirrel's boyfriend or husband. I think this is so funny. Like, Reese
it's hysterical.
Yeah, but he's like, who's Jenny? Is it? Oh, the squirrel. And she take the cogs on the phone. He wants to know when you're going to be through here.
Because he wants fucking dinner.
Did you see her said about just cook something yourself and all? She said to him on the phone, just cook whatever there is. I'll be home when I can.
What a different time, because that is normal for the time. Let me just tell you.
Yeah, exactly. But it just shows you again that these aren't hardened criminals. The fact that he would allow her to take that phone call, and he's talking to her as if she's just having to stay behind for work for a few hours to do a bit of overtime. You know what I mean?
Well, he told her. She's like, what do I tell him? He's like, I don't care. Tell him the truth. Like, I don't know. Like, he doesn't even. He's at this point. He's already like, this didn't go at all how I thought it would. He's already given up.
Yeah. And when the other phone goes, I love that line. He says, or Johnny says, WNEW plays all the hits.
Yeah, plays all the hits. Like, come on, everyone, I'll talk to you all.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's what he says to the other cop then. As I say, I think he tells him the same thing about we're going to start killing hostages here. And and then he asks the manager about where's the back door. And then Sonny tells Sal that he doesn't know what happened. And he tells him he only wants him to, that's when Sonny or Sal says to Sonny, were you serious about what we're going to do to these? And he tells him, I only told him that just so to think that. And that's when I think this is the first point we said earlier, John, about where he says, because I'm ready to do it right now. And you see like Sonny Al Pacino kind of look at him as if, is this guy for real? And rather than say to him, no, this is my point about using him, instead of saying, no, we're just going to pretend so we can get what we want, he just goes to him, right, okay.
He says, I know you are. Like, I know you are. Like, I know you're ready. Like, it's almost like they're playing a different game. Like, Sal's like, really into like this actual crime thing. Like, he's like been, I guess his background would be like he was kind of probably somebody who would do something like this. He's a little bit more violent, and Al Pacino's not. And like Sal's like building up, like, I can kill somebody. Like, I'm ready for this now if I have to.
Well, we know later on that Sonny was in Vietnam. He tells the cop on the phone, and I think I've got it written down here somewhere. I'll get it, that they were both in Vietnam. And they've killed people before, and they're willing to do it again. Now, whether or not Sal was in Vietnam, we don't know, but we know he was in prison because he tells Sonny that I don't want to go back to prison. So his whole mantra is that we go all the way, and I'm not going to prison. Whereas Sonny's he's always looking for a way out, but he but it's almost kind of his way or no way.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what he's gonna, he's gonna use Sal for what he needs to use Sal for. Sal's there for a reason. The other guy, like, I guess he was just supposed to do crowd control too, but it feels like it's still these were the two main guys, and the third guy was because the other guy, like, he's not wearing a suit or anything. Felt like he was just kind of coming along, maybe just to be the driver. Not sure.
Well, he was holding up the security guard earlier,
Yeah,
so he was definitely part of something. I'm kind of wondering a little bit. I didn't look into it or whatever. Was that because Sal was supposed to be a kid? Was that I know that I did say I had really look into the real life events. I think there was 3 guys and one got away. They said, and the other 2 got caught. But so I'm kind of wondering, did they bring Gary Sprinter in, a young Gary Sprinter in to play the kid, who was with Sonny the whole time, but it's changed about for artistic license. And they said he got away. So I don't know how much the third person had to do with the real robbery, but they obviously just let him go at the very start.
yeah, and it just kind of becomes a two-hander. But and you're like you said, that you're learning about these 2 characters as we go along, because the movie takes place during the entire robbery, like the robbery's going on, which is kind of a cool, plot device to have the one robbery be the one setting, and we learn about their lives as the movie progresses. We learn more obviously about Sonny than we do with Sal, but we get the little hints of Sal.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. The whole movie kind of leaves it up to the viewer to decide. And I think that I don't think it's done in any kind of pretentious type of way, John. I think it's not really relevant to the overall story. The story's about the robbery. You know what I mean? I like the fact that nothing's really explained. You don't have to, say indefinitely, this is what Sal was and this is where he came from, and this is indefinitely, this is who Sonny is and this is where he came from. And again, it goes back to what we have said in other podcasts. Life isn't like that. If they're telling a true story, you probably don't always get all the answers that you want. You just build a character and then you let the audience decide.
Yeah, we can, we used to get movies like this. This is us like looking at like what possibly happened. We don't know for sure.
Yeah. And it's Sonny tells everybody to cooperate and they will get out of this thing, because that's what I'm saying. Because when he says about, I'm willing to do it right now, and he says, right, okay, and he turns right away, it's like he's kind of warning the rest of them, cooperate. He's there. He hasn't turned and said he's going to shoot you all if he's don't. He just turns around and he says it like, just cooperate, and we're all just going to go. It's almost like he doesn't want it to come to that, and I don't think he does want it to come to that. But then the security guard starts taking an asthma attack.
Oh my god, I know. What's wrong with him? He's got asthma. Poor guy.
And that's a funny line. But when he brings the manager at the back, as you say, he asks him, "What's wrong with it?" And he says that they hire a security guard with asthma. And the manager
security training.
security guard school. He says,
"Oh, that's what it was. Security guard school."
And he says, and Al Pacino says to me, "He doesn't even have a gun."
It's a good point. I mean, it's a bank. Give the security guard.
I know he's taking an asthma attack. He's like, "Why'd you hire him?" And he says, so in the meantime, him and the manager, Mr. Mulvaney, they block the back door, and the FBI show up, as does the press, and then they set up a phone line from the barbers to the bank. Yeah, they've set up a phone line to the bank, and a call comes through, and it's what do you call it, detective again? It's him on the phone. Moretti.
Yeah. Oh Moretti. Yeah, played by Charles Durning.
Charles Durning, yes, and he's on the phone, and he asks him, like, who's all there, who's in there? As you said, he's changed his tone now because he doesn't know who these guys are, doesn't know how serious they are, doesn't know how many there is, he doesn't know what weapons they've got, he knows nothing about the situation, doesn't even know how much hostages there is. And that's what I'm saying about the mistakes they keep making. You know what I mean? They keep giving these guys information, that the police information. So they're able to kind of try and work out what the hell is going on and set their plans and their traps and everything else. But yeah, that's where Pacino says that Sal's a killer. See, he doesn't say I'm a killer. He says Sal's a killer. He's starting to set him up already.
I mean, he tells even the people, like, I bark, he bites.
That's right. He does. He says that, John. And he says to him, we're both Vietnam vets and killing is nothing to them. And the cop just outright says, well, can you release the hostages?
I know. Well, like, are you kidding me? Like, I think he just like thinks, okay, maybe I can get this done early. Like, he's feeling him out a little bit. I mean, because that's a really dumb move if Sonny falls for that. Like, yeah, sure. But obviously Sonny's smarter enough to go, that's all I got.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, too, from a cop's point of view, they probably the security guard goes to security school, they go to cop school, and they're probably and it's probably changed a lot since the 70s. And I know that they said they changed how they negotiate with hostage situations off the back of what happened on this event. But there probably it's like, ask for the top and work your way back. So instead of saying, give me one hostage, and then it's called no, where do you negotiate from there? Right? But if you say, give me all of them, then it gets them thinking, I
Yeah,
can't give you all of them. Well, how many can you give me? Can you give me half? Can't do that either. 2. You know what I mean? It's
you're working your way down, see what he does until you get to like, it's basic negotiations. But yeah, the cop, I guess, like just thought ask for the most and see what happens. But yeah, he just outright says it.
yeah, but he's also trying to suss out how smart are these guys? How many hostages is there?
Yeah, he doesn't have any of this information. Like they just kind of showed up.
Yeah, so he doesn't know. As you say, he says, these are the only people that are keeping me alive, and he says, "Well, give me one." So when they go out, I think he tells them they're all women on the phone.
Yeah, he does. He does tell them, well, he's all women, and this is why like he gets mad later. One of the reasons why he kind of felt he was gaslighting him a little bit, but kind of one of the reasons why he gets a little upset when they throw out the security guard.
Well, it's not only that; it's because they think it's all women, and all of a sudden they push out the security guard out the front. And so they may probably think he's one of the bank robbers.
Yeah, that's what they think because the cops swarm him, and then they have to say, no, he's one of the hostages. He's one of the hostages, like in trying to get him off.
Do you think as well there's a bit of racism there, Sean?
I felt that every time I watch it, like it must be a robber because it's a black guy coming out. I did feel that, and he can't speak because he's got asthma. He's having an asthma attack, so he can't even say anything, and they're just grabbing him, throwing it on the hood like it's nothing.
Cuff him as everything, and even when they're told leave him alone, when you see them being dragged off across a road, he's still got the cuffs on and his hands behind his back.
Yeah, he's a hostage. It's still like, well, it's just unfortunately the mindset of you got to look at it through the 1970s vision as well.
Yeah, I 100% think that there's racism there, and I also think that is also why Moretti was angry, because once they come out and say it, because he lied to him as in, oh, there's only women here, yes. But all of a sudden, they push this guy out the front, and he's an innocent guy, and he's one of the hostages. They could have very well went wrong. They could have shot him or anything like that, and then the blood would have been on the cops' head, kind of thing. You know what I mean? It would have been on their hands. I think that's what I get the feeling of anyway. But he confronts him and tells him to give it up. He's bullshitting him, like he's like, "Yeah, you get 5 years, you'll be out in a year." And I love how Al Pacino blows a kiss to him, and he says, "What's that?" He says, kiss me because I love to be kissed when I'm being fucked.
Yeah, exactly. He knows he's not a complete idiot, Sonny, and that's why like how I always looked at the movie earlier. It's like I actually would always kind of like trust Sonny, made him like more intelligent in my mind than I think he really is, because he is somewhat intelligent. He kind of knows like how to deal with people.
No, yeah. I don't know if it's just because of Al Pacino, the actor. I mean, obviously, they're reading from a script, and some of these things were probably, as we said, improvised. So there's some of maybe Al Pacino in there. But you're right, there's things he does which I go, that's smart thinking. But for me, throughout the whole movie, he's always looking a way out. And he's constantly making mistakes. And I don't know if his judgment is clouded. And it could just go back to the fact of, he's an intelligent guy, but he's not as we said, he's not a professional robber. And that's the issue. He wants to try and do the right thing, but unfortunately he can't.
He's in the wrong position to be trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, and that's, of course, that's when he starts shouting at Attica, and roaring the crowd up.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most famous thing I knew about the movie before I saw the movie, is I saw this scene of him shouting Attica, and wondering what the hell he's talking about. Like, what does that mean? And then you look into it, and it makes sense. It's funny how it was just like an improvised line, essentially, apparently. Like somebody just told him that, and then he just went and screamed it, and that's what kind of worked.
Yeah, what was that incident, John, that happened?
I believe it was at a prison in New York, 43. There was like a hostage situation, and innocent and guilty people died is the problem. So it was like almost like what happened in the 90s with in the United States. There was a thing that happened with the Branch Davidians in Waco, Texas.
Yes.
And there was something that happened with the ATF before that kind of caused the Oklahoma City bombings, where they felt like law enforcement had overstepped their bounds in a few situations. And this is kind of something that happened in the 1970s as well, where it's like law enforcement overstepped their bounds. And that's kind of like what you were talking about before, like with the cops with the black guy, like if they look bad to the public again, It's like, are they the wrong ones in this situation now? And they don't want to do that. They want to stay face, and they want to make sure that Al Pacino's and everyone, they are the villains here.
Yeah, and even though I think it was the first AD when he went stepped out to do that scene with all the extras and all, and the cop and Moretti, it was the first AD pulled Pacino in and said to him, "Go out and shoot Ariga."
Yeah, that's what it was. I
Yeah.
knew somebody had told them to do that, and it works because the crowd plays along perfectly with it.
Yeah, he steps out, starts shouting at the crowd. It just spontaneously started doing it, and he was playing up to the crowd. And I think you're right about the thing about the cops in this movie. Like I always feel as if, to your point, that Moretti wants to solve this. He doesn't want anybody else, as you say, being hurt or getting blown up. I honestly do think Moretti's trying all his best to stop this exasperating and to stop this being taken over by anybody else. I think he wants to get it done. He wants to, as you say, to be seen to be doing it right and doing it without anybody getting hurt. To the point when he sees the FBI, he's like, Christ, there's the FBI. He doesn't want them involved. And there's a bit of dialogue between him and the FBI about, you know, what are you doing here? And the FBI make a comment about it. It's almost like, it's funny, he doesn't want them involved, I feel as if. Because he knows they're a wee bit more kind of forceful, and we see that later. I feel as if the FBI only take over the reins. I feel as if it's not shown in the movie. It's like the FBI went to him and said, "You've had your shot, it's our turn." Or he's went, "Look, I can't do any more here."
Yeah, I think it's exactly the first one. I think it's, you know, you had your shot, you've had time, you can't do it. We have we're bigger law enforcement, you're NYPD. And yeah, honestly, look at the difference in the looks of the two guys. You know, the Moretti looks like, you know, a regular New York slob of a cop, like a local guy working 60 hours a week trying to catch his man. Meanwhile, James Broderick walks in. He's tall, he's handsome, speaks always calmly no matter what. And it's like, this guy's a professional, you know, he's just a little bit more professional than you, and he probably has a bigger playbook than you have. And it's like, all right, step aside. You did fine, but we're going to finish it.
Yeah, and I think, but if the FBI had their way, would have stepped in there and then. But
Yeah.
I think maybe you don't see it, but it's just a feeling I get that he's kind of like, no, this is my town. This is let me do my thing. And they, as I say, because they're always looking over his shoulder like hawks, and then eventually later on they just appear. Well, you see the faces, but later on all of a sudden it's, oh, I'm from the FBI, and what is it you want? And even Al Pacino was like,
yeah, where'd you come from?
he's like, did I not tell you? Tell me again. You know, it's very sneaky, you know, way of doing things, but we'll get to that. So after that scene with Attica, we cut to Sonny's mum and dad watching the television, and they see that he's robbing the bank. Now, do you know who his dad is?
No, I was only paying attention to his mom because she's kind of like in the foreground while he's in the background.
Well, the thing was that I didn't realize this until I was kind of looking up the movie, and then I seen this name come up, and I thought this was after I watched it the first time last week, and I went, didn't see him in the movie, wonder who he is. And I meant to go back to it and check who he was in the movie. And then when I was watching it again and taking notes, as soon as I heard the voice, I was writing something and I heard the voice, and I went, that's who he is. So his dad is Dominic Chianese, who plays Junior Soprano.
Oh, is that really Junior Soprano?
Yeah.
No, I have to go back and rewatch that now because that's incredible. I always try and find where I've seen Junior in before because he's always so recognizable. And I mean, perfect casting on The Sopranos.
Yeah. But keep in mind, this is like 25 years before The Sopranos. But
yeah,
know what to do, mate. See if you go to that scene, close your eyes.
Oh, so you just listen to his voice and picture
that's yeah, you can tell. And I'll tell you another movie he's in as well. I don't know if you know this one. Do you know he's in The Godfather Part 2?
See, that's the one I did know he was in. Because I've gone, I just don't know how that slipped by me. Like I'm ashamed.
Yeah. Well, I didn't notice. I didn't notice, and as I say, when I looked up, I was looking up a few things online for the movie, and I seen his face come up for Dog Day Afternoon, and I was like, where is he? And then the next thing was when I was taking notes, I heard the voice, and I looked up, and I went, there he is. He looks so different. But I think who's he playing The Godfather Part 2? It's Johnny Ola.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Johnny Ola, because he doesn't play the other guy who I always quote. You know, I knew who did it. I didn't say nothing. I understood.
And he's always like
with that freak, yeah. He's got a heart condition.
Yeah. That's your man. What do you call him?
I love that guy.
He was a very famous acting coach.
Oh, really?
What's his name? Strasberg?
Ah, that makes sense.
Lou
Yeah,
Strasberg?
Lou
He
Strauss. That's it.
Lou
That rings a bell.
he coached the likes of, I think, Pacino and maybe Hoffman and all those guys. And Marlon Monroe was one of his students. So was James Dean.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a very famous acting coach, and that's probably why he got the job in Godfather Part Two. But yeah,
I always feel like the big acting coaches get thrown a role like this every now and again.
yeah, he was very famous. I think it was at New York, and yeah, I think he had like an acting school and things like that, and that's where they all went. I think he was the one that I don't know if he invented it, but he was the one that was a great believer of method acting and all this business.
Well, that would make sense. That why we would have Al Pacino and Dustin Hoffman under him because that's a big deal. Like they're very big in the method acting.
Yeah, yeah.
But not to go on a little right, like a right turn, but I just listened to the Marathon Man podcast for the rewatchables, and they were talking about Dustin Hoffman and his method acting, and I always forget that he was like that. Like for some reason, his acting doesn't come off like somebody like that.
Yeah, well, I was listening to because it was the anniversary of Jaws. I've been listening to a few Jaws podcasts that I haven't listened to before, and they actually made a point of comparing Olivier and Hoffman not getting on in the Marathon Man to Shaw and Dreyfus not getting on because Dreyfus and Hoffman kind of came from that method type of acting that was popping up during the 70s, and whereas Olivier and Shaw were from the old school, from the stage. But because I don't really know much about the making of Marathon Man, but it's a great movie though.
Yeah, apparently Olivier, like at one point with Hoffman, got so frustrated. It's like a very famous thing, and he's like, "Why don't you just try acting?" Like like because he's just trying to like get in character, like stay in character all the time. And Olivia's great actor. It's like you're an actor, do your job. Like why is that so? Like it is just different schools of acting. Some people just have to be in character, while others just like they could turn it on. Like Brad Pitt, I've always heard about like he could just the second they say cut, he could just go back into being Brad Pitt and then find the character again. It's like that's I get it. Like it's hard for me to say which is better. I'm not an actor.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I agree. I'm not an actor either, so I wouldn't know the first thing about having to get into that frame of mind. You know what I mean? And maybe that kind of mental kind of gymnastics you do to get into a character. But I tend to agree. If you're an actor, you should be able to get on there and do it, and then turn it off when you get off. And I don't get all this method stuff. I don't get it.
It always freaks me out a little bit. It's like very strange. And when you hear the stories, like I've even like with what's his name, Jim Carrey and Man on the Moon, like I've watched the documentary on that and just seeing him try to get into the Andy Kaufman character, and it's so weird. Like you're faking it, and I get it. Like maybe it brings something to it, but like Dustin Hoffman's the one that freaks me out a little bit more because I'm not the biggest Dustin Hoffman fan, so it doesn't really work for me. Like Al Pacino, like he's fallen into so many roles where he's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, well, look, Daniel Day-Lewis is apparently one of the biggest ones, and people praise his acting for that. And look, if it's your job, I mean, as a fan of movies and looking at it and being fascinated by maybe how actors actually work, I can understand how, as an actor, if you're playing a particular part that's kind of a guy who's, I mean, it's like this current thing we've got, John, about an actor can't play this because they're not that. That's ridiculous, because at the end of the day, there's plenty of actors that have done roles that, for example, maybe play drug addicts, but they've never taken heroin. Do you have to take heroin to bloody play a drug addict now?
I mean, this movie is an example of it with Al Pacino and I'm forgetting the actor's name, but plays Leon.
Chris Sarandon.
Yeah, both straight men. And
yeah,
do you want to replace those men? Like their scene is probably one of the best scenes in this movie. I wouldn't replace that phone call with two other actors who happen to be gay men. I think that these guys are playing. They're actors. Everyone who they play aren't real people. I think some people just have a problem separating these people. Like you got to understand these are all actors. Like none of them are what they play.
Exactly. Like Tom Hanks in Philadelphia, which he won an Oscar for. What are you going to do? Say he should take that off now? But what I'm saying is that as well is that me personally as an observer and researching actors or movies, I wouldn't have a problem with an actor researching a role. Do you know what I mean? If he wants to hang out with, like, say you're playing a priest and you don't have them, but you're not a Catholic or you didn't grow up in that kind of background, let's go and hang out with people that are devout Catholics, or go and speak with a priest and see how, and do you know what I mean? And maybe take a few pointers and put that into your character. But for somebody to actually just, I say, method and stay in character all the time, that is a bit weird to do that.
Yeah, I find it to be very, very weird. I just being everybody else working, it's got to be so strange. Like it's a weird working environment.
Yeah, exactly. So I tend to agree with Olivier. Just act. That's what you're
I'm,
paid for.
I love that. I just could imagine Olivier because I love that movie and his Christian Zell character is great. I could just see
Yeah.
that old man just flipping out on like a young Dustin Hoffman, like just fucking do your job.
He's brilliant in that film. So he
Yeah,
is.
he
They,
really
they all
is.
they all are. It's such a great
Yeah.
movie.
But him at that advanced age, like, it's so
Yeah.
hard for some actors to transition and like him to do that and like, come from literally like almost at the beginning and to play this in a 70s film. It's great.
Is it safe?
Yeah, it's
Is what safe? Is it
I know
safe?
you love that movie because of our old buddy Roy in there.
Yeah, I don't want to bring Roy up, but yeah, I love
Yeah.
when he hits him. I love when he hits him a slap. Take that as my warning. And then I hate it. I hate it. What happened next? I hate it. What happened next?
Oh yeah, what happens
know.
to him? It's terrible. Well,
It is.
you got to watch out for those switchblades.
Yeah, exactly. He should have been wasted that. But I love that here. I know we're off topic here, but I love that fight scene
Oh
in the
yeah.
hotel room.
Oh my god, with the piano wire. That's
Yeah.
so brutal. Like with how it cuts his hand.
Because he goes to throw it around his neck and he puts his hand up to stop it.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's a great. Oh my god, that's great. I mean, one more thing just about Roy Scheider. Just watch
Yeah.
Sorcerer on 4K. That movie's phenomenal too. Just gonna say
Yeah, I need to give that another watch. It's getting a lot of newfound love, this Sorcerer.
I know. I love that. That movie's fantastic. It's an underrated masterpiece, in my opinion. Mhm.
Yeah, I like it. I need to revisit. I've got it on Blu-ray. I need to revisit it again, John. It's been a few years.
Yeah, no, it's great. A great Tangerine Dream score.
Yeah.
But let's
Well, it's
continue
like-
with a movie that's got no score.
Exactly. Exactly. But anyway, Junior Soprano, he says, why rob a bank when you have a sucker for a mother? And his mother's sitting, go, what's he doing it for?
Right.
And so anyway, cut the next scene, and the teller's outside talking to the press. See, I love her in this. I didn't get her name. The main teller with the blonde hair, the bank teller. I think she's absolutely brilliant, and she's talking to the press, and it's like Stockholm syndrome. You know what I mean?
That's
and
what I was gonna say. I swear to God.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's like, I've got to go now. I'll talk to you later. And the cop grabs her by the arm, and you see her looking, and she's like, "What's with the hands?"
Yeah.
And you see him kind of pleading with Sonny. He's like, "Let her stay. Let her stay out here." And she's the one that tells him, "They're my girls, and I'm going back in there." So he lets her go, and I love how the crowd starts cheering, and she gives like a wee wave and all.
Yeah, she made him look like a bitch. Like she took all the power away from Moretti in that one situation.
Yeah, it's class. It's really good. But you see them go back into the bank, and you hear her saying, "Girls, I was just on television." She's
I
all
know.
excited to be on television.
That was such a big deal back then, like because this is like all everyone's watching, so it was a big deal for them to see her. I love her; she's great.
Yeah, that's actually what I love. Sorry, that's what I was saying earlier on about the time in which this movie, this event happened. You know, because it's like television and things like that. To be on the television was a big thing. Whereas today we've all got our cameras and people are filming everything and putting it online. Being on TV or on a camera is becoming kind of like second nature now. It's not a big deal anymore.
No, this is it. This is the only like first of all, TV's kind of in like still pretty damn young at this point anyway. And there's what 3-4 channels, and I guarantee you, all 4 of those channels. What are they talking about that night? This.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you about the time I was on television?
No.
Okay, so we detour here for 2 minutes. So basically, I used to work in the city centre, Belfast city centre. And this one particular time, it was around Christmas time, and I had to go to shops. Can't remember what it was for. And I was going down one of the wee side streets, and I had my head down. I had my music in. I was just walking along. I turned to Side Street, and I was just walking along, making my own business. When I realised there was no people, and Belfast back then wasn't overly busy anyway. But you know when there's no people, so I looked up, and I'm walking. And as I look up, I see a camera pointing at me and a news broadcaster with their microphone talking with their back to me. So when I'm still walking, I looks up and I see this camera, and I just kind of moved out of the way and just thought, hope they didn't get me there. Kept walking. Thought it might have been like a news report on the news that night. Didn't think anything of it, John. A few weeks went by. So I can't remember who the first person was. Somebody in work or something. A couple of them says to me, "I seen you on the TV last night." What? I says, "What was I doing?" And they says, "Oh, you walked." They didn't tell me what it was about. They says you were walking down the street, and then all of a sudden you seen the camera, and you went like this. And I went, oh yeah, that was a news report. Yeah, I remember that. But that's it. I didn't think any of it. Next day, somebody else came up to me. I seen you on the TV last night. And I went, you meant 2 nights ago? And he went, nah, last night. And I went, last night? Was the report on again? Turns out it was an advertisement they were filming. This ad was on TV for about a month, and everybody was coming up to me who I knew in work, or my friends were texting me, or my family was texting me saying, I just seen you on the TV there. But the whole thing was, it was me kind of like her standing talking. It was like a mental health advert, and it was her standing talking about something to do mental health, and I'm popping in the background and going, I guess.
That's hysterical. That's crazy that happened to you.
Yeah, and it went on for like a month.
Oh man, so you got semi-famous.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
So as I say, even then it was a big thing to be on the TV. So yeah, briefly. But there you go. Anyway, so back at the bank, I love this scene, John. The telephone goes and it's a TV station. The TV station, and they're asking Sonny, why are you robbing the bank? And he says, he goes, what do you mean why am I robbing the bank? Because it's got money. And they're like, but have you not got a job? And he's like, what is this? But he has this conversation back and forward all about why is he robbing the bank. And in the end, he says to him, I don't understand. Have you ever been in prison? And the guy on the television says no. And he says, well, let's talk about something you fucking know about.
And then they switch off.
They cut him off, but Mr. Bavani says to him, I guess they didn't like your choice of language. And he says, fuck him. You see how they start playing the Looney Tunes theme after it?
Yeah.
I think that was done intentionally, playing the Looney Tunes tune.
Like they're Looney Tunes?
Yeah. Like this is a comical type of thing, what's going on here.
Yeah. And it is. It's got some comical moments, this movie, which is great, honestly, to balance out the film a little bit.
Yeah, it really does. Sonny asks Sal if they should get the FBI involved, maybe be able to work with them. And that's when Sal says no, and that they kill themselves if it didn't work out, and he's not going back to prison. So this is where you see how unhinged Sal is about this whole situation.
Yeah, I don't think even he realized Sonny what he got himself into with Sal.
Yeah, because it's like, as I said earlier, like Sonny's always looking for, I keep saying it, but a way out. He's looking for a way to resolve a situation. But Sal is like, Sal's not really coming up with any suggestions. He's not really coming up with all his attitude is that, we'll kill the hostages unless they let us go, or we'll kill ourselves. His end game's just kill ourselves and kill everybody else. And obviously Sonny doesn't want to do that. But this is really weird, when the phone goes, and it's just weird because again, this doesn't explain who's making these calls, or did I miss something where he picks up the phone and they're like, Sonny, kill them all on the call. Do you remember he picks the phone up and there's like this voice in the end of the call, and he's like, why don't you kill them all?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that's scary as hell too. Like, what do you think that is about?
I don't know. I think.
Do you think it's somebody who got through on the line?
Well, it's definitely somebody who has a number to the bank. But like you said, they not cut off all the outside lines, but they're able to talk to the telephone station though. But somebody was able to get through to the bank. I think it's just showing that there's crazy people out there, and this is just all a show to them, and life doesn't mean anything to them.
Oh yeah, I mean it could be that, or it could be somebody who's just it could be somebody who actually has like a violent tendency, or just somebody who wants to be entertained. Like nowadays, people would be completely desensitized and would want to see something like that. But back then, I feel like there was less likely to have people like that, or at least I hope.
Like you were saying about the Attica thing, throughout the movie, Sonny and Pacino keeps telling them, they want to see our guts all over the pavement. They want to kill us. Even time he goes out to the crowd, he says to the cops, "No, you really want to kill you want to kill me so bad you can taste it." There's always implied throughout the whole movie that there's going to be blood spilled. Yeah.
And unfortunately, there is.
Yeah. So Sonny tells Sal that they have the hostages, and that they make the demands. So this is where he comes up with the plan that we get a helicopter in here, and we get a jet. So we get the helicopter, bring us to the jet, and we'll fly to Algeria. And of all the places to go to the world, they're going to go to Algeria. And you hear one of the girls going, Algeria, and he's like, "Yeah, we're going to the sunny climes." And then he gets on the phone. He says, Sonny calls Moretti, and he tells him he's coming out to talk. And he tells Sal if they leave the country, they won't be coming back. And this is pretty sad. But he says to him, look, if there's anybody he wants to say goodbye to, anybody he wants to speak to, because they're not going to, if they leave the country, they're not coming back. Is there anybody you want to speak to? And he's like, no. So that tells you about Sal. He doesn't have anybody.
Yeah, that's why he's willing to die, because he has nobody left. Really, he's probably only friends with Sonny, and Sonny, I feel like that's even a surface level friendship. So he probably doesn't even let anyone into his life.
Yeah, but like the thing is, there's Sonny's got his mum and dad, even though his dad doesn't like him. He's got his kids. He's got his wife, and he's got Leon as well, a second wife. And there's Sonny or Sal's basically got nobody. And as they said, that Sonny and Sal probably don't know each other that well, so it's like they've only got together for this haste for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think, but where did like Sonny work? How did he meet Sal? Like, how does that work? Like, I'm not too sure like what their relationship is. And again, we're not supposed to know. It's just speculation.
Yeah, exactly. And I think again, it's kind of irrelevant to the whole overall story type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's not important.
Yeah. And that's when he says to him, is there any special country you'd like to go to? And he says, Wyoming.
It's funny.
He's like-
I wasn't gonna.
He's like, it's not a country, Sal. So Sonny comes out and he tells the cops to put their guns down. And he's attacked by Maria's boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They get him out of there quick and throw him in the back of the police car.
Yeah. And again, there's the casual racism of the
Yeah.
70s and of the time and showing you in this movie where he says about, he's like, who's that? He says, it's a Spanish kid. He says it's one of the girls' boyfriends. Says, you know what the Spanish are like?
Yeah, just exactly the casual racism of the time. Like we're still above them even though we're both white and you're a criminal right now. Yeah, we're still, that's what a Spanish guy would do.
Yeah, exactly. You know what they're like. So there's that generalization there. But he asked Moretti for a helicopter and a jet. I know he says a big jet with a bar and a piano to get to another country. Piano.
What's he think he get in a 747?
I can just imagine them all sitting in that plane and somebody playing it. Who's going to play the piano? Maybe he can play the piano. Maybe we
Why are they
just don't know.
setting the piano up?
With a bar and a piano.
Yeah, this guy thinks first class.
Yeah, exactly. Not just to get out of the bloody country. He wants a piano on it too. And this is where, as I say, but he says, that's right. He says to Moretti, he says, and get my wife down here. I want to speak to her. Now, this is a great misdirection.
Mhm.
I love this misdirection. So it shows you the cops going to Sonny's first wife's apartment. And she's talking to the cops and she's just rambling on and rambling on. Even the cops are sitting. You look at the cops' faces in that scene. They're like going, they can't even hack her. So they can't. And we go back to the bank and phone goes and it's that creep again. And he's asking, have you done anything to those girls? And he's just like, he's back again. And he has to go over to one of the girls, whatever, and they start heavy breathing down the phone.
Yeah, just messing with them now.
Yeah, this is the scene here where so the cops are at their lark. They've switched the air conditioning off. Everybody's getting hotter, and they complain about the heat. So Sonny says, "I'm going to go and check the air conditioning." But Sal tells him that he's never been on an airplane before. So this Sal character now, the more we get to know about this guy, even though like he comes across as this dangerous killer, which he may well be, he's a very pathetic character, isn't he?
Yeah, you feel bad for him in a lot of ways because this guy's clearly very closed off to like reality. Like he hasn't really obviously traveled out of New York, doesn't really have a very high education. So how he perceives everything, he doesn't really truly grasp it. I don't even think he grasps like the situation they're in. Like he's like, hey, we'll figure this out. And it's like, I don't think you get it. You have to get on a plane. He's like not understanding at all the seriousness of this.
Yeah, definitely not. Like he's more worried about getting on an airplane than he is about the situation that he's actually in at this moment in time.
Like they'll get to the plane. No worries at all. We'll get to the plane, but I don't know. I'm a little uncomfortable about taking off.
I know that's right, but that's the easy part's getting there.
Yeah. We'll be no problem. It's us, hopefully the pilot's good.
If there's no piano, I'm not getting on it.
This is why I draw a line.
Yeah, there's no piano, I'm not getting on the plane. So yeah, and this is where Sonny goes out to check the air conditioning and he sees that they're coming in the back and he screams out, he says, Sal, get everybody in the vault. They're coming in the back. And Sal's like, right, everybody get in the vault. And Sonny goes out and he fires a shot at the window. And one of the women that works in the bank, she faints. There's a lot of fainting in this movie.
Yeah, well, a lot of shocking. I mean, you got to remember, it's the 70s. They're not used to this. You've heard the stories about the people passing out, seeing The Exorcist. They're not used to things like this happening.
It's true. That's
A lot of
very
pearl
true.
grabbing.
Yeah. And I love how she kind of collapses and they all have to pick her up and carry her into her legs or like that.
Yeah.
It's very funny. And so yeah, the cops were trying to get in through the back. Now, Moretti hears the shot. He comes running out with a bullhorn. He's shouting, come out, Sonny. And all the crowd are imitating him, going, come out, Sonny. But they're afraid to come out at first. So as I say, eventually he comes out and he's like, what the fuck's going on in there? And I love this back and forward. This to me almost seems, John, like it's ad-libbed. It almost just seems like your man, Sidney Lumet, just went, listen, just go back and forth about what's happened here. That the fact that he's fired a shot and you want to know what's going on in there and he doesn't trust you because there's people trying to get in the back. It just seems so ad-libbed, this whole scene.
Yeah, I get that feeling too, but it also makes it kind of give it off a real feeling. And again, this is kind of like where his shifts are from Moretti, like how he feels about like Sonny. Like he gives off like this calming, like I can understand we're talking kind of nature, but then you're shooting through the back. How could I trust you? I wouldn't be able to trust him either. He's not giving off exactly what he's giving out.
But to be fair, do you think Moretti knew that they were trying to get in the back?
I'm not 100% on that. I don't know. I mean, if he was sure that was going to happen or not, but that's the information. Like, you shouldn't be going behind his back. Isn't he in charge at this point?
Yeah, but exactly. So it kind of, again, leaves that ambiguous. Did he know? Well, he knew people were at the back. He knew company. Did he know they were trying to get in? And if he did, then he's the one trying to double cross Sonny, even though Sonny's the bad guy here.
Well, that's
right?
how I kind of feel. Like but just kind of how he's always thought, how his attitude started off with Sonny, how it's changed. I totally think anytime he's being nice to Sonny, he's faking it.
Oh, 100% he is, because he doesn't want this, as we mentioned earlier, to be like for this to blow up, to have multiple casualties. I think he wants to be the cop to resolve this. I actually think he did know they were getting in the back. And I think that this whole kind of shouting about, who's fired a shot, this shock that there was a shot fired, maybe he didn't expect Sonny to fire a shot, but it's all a ploy. And then when there's this back and forward about what the fuck, what are you doing? And did you know they were coming in the back? And he's like, what guys? And do you know there's guys at the back? And who and all this? But he changes the subject and he says about, he tells him that he can't get the helicopter, but they can get a bus into the place, and they can get a bus to Kennedy, and that's where the airplane, the jet, will be waiting. And he says they got a hold of his wife, and she'll be there in half an hour. So I just feel as well, John, and you'll see it a wee bit more as the movie goes on, the cops don't want us to go any further than where it is within the bank or the street. They don't want to come out into the street. They want to keep it contained. They're reluctantly getting them this stuff. They don't want, obviously they don't want them to get away, but what I mean is that they're drawing this out as long as possible here, so they get fed up. Yeah,
100%.
Cutting the air conditions off the start of it.
Yeah, they're following a playbook here, and I also I guess it's like preconceived notions. Like, this is the 70s, so I don't know like what it was like going in there, but when I saw Dog Day Afternoon, I've seen a lot of bank robbery movies. I kind of also had heard about how they deal with situations like this. It just feels like they're trying to just keep him comfortable, maybe draw him out this way. You don't want anything to get too escalated where violence could ensue, is how it feels.
Yeah, they want them to get to the place where they're fed up. Do you know what I mean? Look, it's one of the hottest days of the year, as we said earlier, Dog Day Afternoon, and it's like they're sweating, their air comes off now. Do you know what I mean? Yes, we'll give you what you want, but they're leaving it as long as possible. Another thing too, as the movie goes on, I feel as if that they intentionally didn't bring the stuff there until it was dark as well.
Yeah, I think they could have got all the stuff way earlier, but they were hoping to just draw him out without actually having to, literally go to the airport.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is that we did see those cops arrive at his first wife's house, but as the movie progresses, we realize that that's not the details. I don't believe it's the details that Sonny gave the cops, because he gave them the details where Leon was. So again, it makes me think that they hadn't, just thrown us out there speculation, hadn't even contacted his wife yet.
No.
It's all a ploy and keep him calm. So, yes, well, your wife's going to come. She'll be here in half an hour. And then it's like, oh, we're hungry. Do you want food? Get you pizzas, soft drinks. He says, wants aspirin for the girl who's just fainted. And I love how he says, "Get me some beer," and he's like, "Oh no alcohol." And but Sonny says, "Look, don't call me."
I mean, come on, get us a few drinks. A nice hot summer night here.
Yeah, and he goes back into the bank anyway, and he says about, yeah, I've got his food and I've got her husband, and it's like that's him saying about him trying to do the right thing and be, I would say, right thing and be a good guy. He's like, oh, I've got to pay the pizza guy, and he's like, where's the Mark Fives? I've got to pay him, so I'll use the bank's money,
Of
even
course.
though like not realizing that the pizzas are going to be paid for by the bloody police department.
Yeah, I know. He should be aware of that too. It would make sense. What are they going to do? Send you pizzas that you have to pay for?
I know exactly. And then the thing is that that's when the manager Mulvaney says that's a foolish thing you done there.
Yeah.
He says to him, "Are we going to get the ball rolling?" I love how Al Pacino's like, I like this wee dialogue he has back when he says, "Yeah, we're going to get the ball rolling. What do you think I'm doing? I'm working on it. You think it's easy? I got to keep them cool. I got to keep all you people happy, and I got to have all the ideas. You want to try it?" And then he goes to walk off, and he turns and he says to him, "You're starting to get on my nerves."
Yeah. Sonny's got the world on his shoulders right now. You know, he shouldn't be so stressed out.
Yeah, you'd almost think it was his fault. Like
He
you would
really
almost think this was of his making. He's just trying to get everybody out of this situation. You would never think that it was his idea in the first place.
Yeah, I know. He's a victim in this. He makes himself out to be a little bit.
Yeah, but this is actually here, John. This is one of my favorite. This is one of my favorite scenes, if not me, but my well, it's hard to pick a favorite scene, but this is one of my favorite scenes when the next and the food arrived pretty quickly. You hear the bullhorn outside saying, "Sonny, your food's here," and he goes out and he pays the pizza delivery boy and then throws the money into the crowd. But the next scene is when he goes and lifts the pizzas and he asks the delivery boy for a hand with the door, and he opens the door for him. He pats him in the back and he turns and he's like, "I'm a fucking star."
I mean, that's a big deal for him.
It's brilliant just the way he does the jumping on. I'm a fucking star, and everybody's cheering him on. It's almost like he's meeting a celebrity.
He's a local celebrity now, that pizza guy. People are gonna be like, "Hey, I saw you there last night."
Yeah, and Al Pacino's putting money in his pockets and all, for delivering the pizzas.
Yeah.
Yeah. But back in the bank, Sonny is showing one of the girls' is gun, which he's doing that kind of military thing to do with the gun, the military twirl. What's that called?
I have no
Look for
idea,
that.
but yeah, I just know that like that's something that they would do, like as far as like when they're marching along, and like they would kick the thing out, twirl it, and then put it back in place. You know, stuff I've seen in plenty of other movies, like Child's Play 3,
Yeah. Full Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket. Yeah, this is my rifle. There are many like it, but this one is mine.
Yeah. This is my rifle. This is my gun. And this is another great scene here. So they're sitting in the some of the girls and Sal is sitting in like the wee. I don't know if it's a manager's office or whatever, but they're sitting around a bit. Could be just an array for people to go in and have food or something on their lunch. And the bank teller is going to have a cigarette, and he questions why she's having the cigarette. And she says, "Why?" And he says, "You should look after your body. You should keep your body pure." And she says, "So you rob a bank, but you keep your body pure?" Like you said earlier, he says, "I don't want to get the cancer." And she says, "Well, if I die of cancer, it'll be half your fault."
Yeah, that's fair enough. Fair enough.
Which is very strange because his kind of morals are kind of a wee bit all over the place there.
That's kind of like the what they're trying to show us is that he's like, he's got his morals all screwed up. Like, this is where you draw the line, is at cigarettes, but you have no problem walking here and stealing money.
And he's telling me he wants to shoot them earlier. And
Yeah, he's like,
himself,
yeah, exactly. So, but you don't want to get cancer. It's like, I don't think this guy knows what he wants. Again, I don't think he has a full grasp on reality.
Yeah, it's very odd, very, very odd. But I love her in that scene as well as John Cazale. But then we cut to the scene where Moretti calls Sonny and he says to him, they're bringing your wife.
This is classic. And like, again, this is like when I first saw this movie, I didn't know anything about it. So this was a surprise to me.
Yes, and on your live stream, you done today. This was brought up in the live stream about the twist, and I never thought of it as a twist. But again, you're right. It's something that I remember when I first seen this movie. because, as I say, the misdirection that they play earlier in the movie of the cops visiting his first wife with the kids, you think it's going to be her, but the next thing is this man gets out of the car and he's wearing a dressing gown, and yeah. So I love Moretti's response. He says to him, "What's that?" And the cop says, "We went to Bellevue like you told us." He said he was his wife. They were married in a church.
Married in a church and everything, which is like, again, we had already seen his wife, so this is like confusing. Did they make a mistake, or is this accurate?
Yeah, and Moretti's like, Jesus Christ. And this is what I love. That's what I love when Al Pacino comes out and he's shouting, Leon, over here. Leon, happy birthday.
I love that. And again, another fainting.
And then Leon looks and faints. And it's just a big smile and like Sonny's face. He's like, Leon, happy birthday. And they carry him in. I love how they all shuffle him into the barbers and put him in a barber's chair.
Yeah, gotta wake him back up. I love. Why did he faint? Was he just being overly dramatic? Because like, you knew where he was, or is he just like shocked that he's like waving and acting like nothing's going on here?
Yeah, I don't know specifically, mate. I think that as we learn in the next few scenes, in the next scene, we learn more about Sonny, which I touched on earlier, and Moretti asked Leon to talk to Sonny to try and get him out of the bank after they wake him up with like smelling salts and all, and he says he can't, and he tells us that Sonny was abusive and that he went to a psychiatrist and he told him he was a man trapped in a woman's body, a woman trapped in a man's body. Got that written down the wrong way here, and it was going to cost $2,500 for the surgery, and so he tried to kill himself. But he also, that's why he was in the hospital, because he tried to kill himself. So I could only assume the reason he fainted is because the last time he seen Sonny was because Sonny was being abusive to him.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean? And because later on, when they have the conversation later on the phone, he asks him to come with him, and he says, "I've spent 6 months trying to get away from you. Now you want me to go with you?" Yeah. So what I'm saying is that it's probably not the reaction everybody would have, but I think that particular character is maybe overwhelmed by the whole situation, by all the cops and the media there and the crowds, and then the next thing, here comes this guy out shouting across the street, "Hey, Leon, happy birthday!" And I think maybe Leon's just totally overwhelmed by it. He can't take it all in, and he probably just has a wee bit of a breakdown.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you're right. That would definitely make a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's the way I'm reading it, John. And yeah, so basically, then Sonny calls Moretti and asks him. Sonny calls Moretti and he tells him that Leon doesn't want to talk to him.
Yeah, it's gonna take a while to build up to that phone call.
Yeah, it's a great scene that with Leon as well, to be honest with you, John, isn't it? Because about giving us that exposition about the character of Sonny. Because again, as I said, we don't really know who he is or why he's doing this. There's no explanation. That kind of gives motive to what he's doing, and I do love when when Moretti says to him, you see a wee bit of empathy with Moretti, saying, well, because he's given us all this talk about how bad of a character Sonny is, as if he doesn't love him, and then he says to him at the end, well, do you not think he's doing this out of love for you? But he's also manipulating Leon, and that he's doing this because he loves you. He's doing this for you. So why don't you phone him and get him out of there?
Yeah, he's just trying to manipulate him. I don't think Moretti really cares. He doesn't seem like he also cares that, like, that's one thing I like that they kind of point out. It doesn't really seem like too many people are bothered by this guy being gay or like wanting to be trans or anything, but they are using him for what they need. So I just don't think there's any care at all for like empathy there. It's just kind of like he's just, the lover of this guy.
Yeah. No, of course not. Listen, we see it all through the movie, John. We'll get there as well. His mother, his first wife, they're just trying to use these people to get him out of there throughout the movie. And because he asked for his wife, that's the first person to bring down. So they do. And this then goes on to the news report then about Sonny and Leon's wedding. And then at the end of the news report,
this is hysterical.
Sal's annoyed because they call him a homosexual.
Two homosexuals in the bank, right on TV. Did you hear what they said?
What difference does it make? No, man. They're going to say anything they want.
He
Yeah.
brings it up twice to Sonny too, because Sonny blows him off the first time. He's like, there's not. They said two homosexuals. So like Sonny's like, who cares? Like, what's the big deal? But like Sal cannot move past them pointing out that he's a homosexual when he's not.
Yeah, because like there's bigger face to fry here. There's a bigger thing going on, and he's just like, forget about it. They can say what they want. That's what he says. He can say what they want. It doesn't matter. And he's like, but you can't have them saying that.
Yeah, forget that you're robbing a bank and holding people hostage. They said I was gay. Like, that's what he's basically saying. Yeah.
It's at least your worries,
Yeah, again, he can't perceive reality of the situation. Like, these are the things he gets caught up on.
Yeah, exactly, John. And I love how then when he walks back to the people in the bank, and because they're like seeing this on the television, yeah, I love this thing where he says, what's the matter with you? You shouldn't let something like that spoil your fun. The way he goes, you gotta get fun out of life. Just the way.
I know, John Cazale, I love it.
Yeah, and then he's kind of like, where's the jet? And as I say, I've written down here, they're stalling them. They're stalling, so they are. But we cut to the airport, we see a bus pull up, and we see all these kind of like, it's a bit strange, see a bus pulling up and all these like Marines get out of the bus, but it's not the bus to use.
No, at least I don't think it is.
No, no. I don't think it's they call it. I looked at it. They call it like a limousine.
Yeah, which is strange. I mean, I guess a limousine is technically just any long car, but when I think of a limousine, I think of like a car bringing people to the airport. Like a nice fancy limousine. But I guess any long car is technically a limousine.
Yeah, it reminds me like of the Ghostbusters car, only longer.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. I must have just been something of the 70s. These things, because I've never seen any of them driving around.
Yeah.
Must
Exactly.
have been of the time.
It must be. Yeah, but I love how they go to the bank now and they're really spatting it out. And I love how you hear one of the girls saying, Holland's very good. You should go to Holland. They looked after people during the war, as if they're fleeing a country from war, and the Dutch are going to help them.
Yeah, not that you're criminals and we're just aiding and abetting.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is full Stockholm syndrome now. The people here are kind of fully into this now. They're looking forward and going on a trip with these guys.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's when the lights go out and they put the hostages in the vault. And Sonny's called outside. And as I said earlier, it's now dark and it's the FBI. So it almost feels as if, John, this was their plan to me. Now that I'm talking to you now, it's like stall them, wait till it gets dark, and then the FBI moves in, because there's a lot of stuff you can do in the dark that the cameras can't see or pick up, and we can get away with.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And, they come in and they are just, the attitude is so different. Like, it's like, we've been here before. We know how to close this deal.
Well, he goes out and he's like, it's Sheldon, and it's played by James Broderick, who is Matthew Broderick's father. And he asked him to put the air conditioning and the lights back on. And he asked him outright, give me the hostages. The same thing that was asked at the by the police. And that's when he says to him about, did you not get my message? The people not tell you what's going on here. And he regurgitates reiterates his arrangements. And that's when he asks, can he come in and see if the hostage is okay? And I like that line where he says to him about, well, you think if me and Sal slit their throats, we're going to let you walk out of there? Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, I need to see them. And this is another big mistake, because, see, in my opinion, mate, when I'm watching this, he should have said, not a chance, because he's able to go in and scope the place out and see how many people are in there and the layout of the place and who the bad guys really are.
Yeah, I mean, if Sonny was smarter, he'd be like, no, I'll bring them to you, or like, I'll let them line up and you could look through the door and see them all. Like, why are you letting him inside? And this is the unprofessionalism of Sonny and Sal. They don't really know what they're doing. And Sonny also wanting to be the good guy. He thinks if he's nice enough, they'll cut him a break, which again, they kind of do. To
cooperate. Yeah. But I think they see, even though Sonny is driving this thing and he's the face of it all, John, I think they kind of see him as the weak link. Sonny has set Sal up as the hardliner, as the one you can't deal with, the one you can't reason with, the one that's willing to murder. Sonny's setting himself up as the guy, you can negotiate with me, you can work with me, we can work this out, even though they're thinking, you're never getting out of here, you're not leaving this country, we're going to get you whatever way possible. Now, doesn't mean they want to kill him, But also as well, another thing as well that I thought of is that the reason why they don't want to kill him is because, again, as we keep saying, he's the face of this. He's the celebrity. He's becoming a celebrity. So imagine the backlash if they had to kill them.
Oh my God, it would have been like the court of public opinion would have already ruled against the cops and FBI if they killed Sonny here or Sal like outright like that.
See, Sal they can get away with, but not in front of the cameras.
No,
But
yeah,
they can't get away with killing Sonny, I don't think.
any which way, even if it's like in the dark or anything, like any way they can spin it. Because don't forget, they're the ones that are going to be telling the story after the fact.
I just think that if say they had shot him in the limousine at the end along with, and they could have done it easily, along with Sal. Why did they have to shoot Sal? They didn't have to shoot Sal. You know what I mean?
That's true. They didn't.
But they did, and they didn't shoot Sonny. I'm just throwing this out here that I think that if the people that were there that day, that were witnessing that, who were making a big celebrity out of Sonny, because he's the face, he's the one that's connected with the people on the television, the radio stations, even the hostages to a certain extent. If you wake up the next day and read a newspaper that he was killed by the cops, I still don't think that would go down too well.
No, I don't think that's going to go down too well at all. You're right. You're right. You got to remember how he's perceived. It's not like today where we move off things in one day. Like, we could spin it. Like, people saw this. This is headline news. It's going to be in the news for a few more days.
Yeah. And I also think, as part of me thinks as well, but I could be wrong on this, I could be way off the mark on this, is that the cops are starting to, well, especially Moretti's starting to have some kind of affiliation with him as well, where he doesn't want to kill him. He's building up a wee bit of rapport with him. Do you know what I mean? But I could be way off the mark there. Like you say, it could be he's just pretending to do that just to try and sort the situation out.
Yeah. I mean, the way that Moretti's played, he does start to get a little bit more sympathetic, like as the movie goes on, because he kind of like fades to the background as the FBI moves to the forefront.
Yeah, and there's a great scene. We'll get to it very soon, which I want to point out about that, him fading in the background. Yeah, of course, he goes out, he agrees with Sheldon and let him in, but he searches him, and I love that dialogue where he's saying to him, like, you'd like to kill me, wouldn't you? And he says, I wouldn't like to kill you. I will if I have to. And he says, is your job right? He says, the guy who kills me, I hope it's because he hates my guts and not because it's his job.
Well, that's a fair assessment. Like, I would want that too, I guess. Not because it's just his job to kill me.
Yeah.
You better hate me.
Yeah. Rather than his duty. And there we go. So, and I love that. This is another great one, John, where he turns around and he brings him into the bank and he says, nobody give their right name. It's the FBI.
And it's the FBI, yeah, and they could all see him now. And I was like surprised at like how he just walks in and like you said, he just looks around and leaves.
Yeah, he's just scoping the place out. He's scoping the threat. He wants to know. He wants to ID Sal. He wants to know exactly who Sal is and what he looks like. That's what I think. He wants to totally ID Sal so he can go out and they can make the plan. This is their whole plan. We're going to shoot him and we're going to take him into custody. That's what I think.
And they're able to like take them away from the situation in the public and take them to the airport where nobody could see what happens.
Exactly. Take them completely away. And this is where, as I say, where Sal says the Sheldon, get the TV to stop saying there's two homosexuals in here.
Yeah, my God, that's such a big deal to him. He has to make sure he points that out again.
And then they go to the door, and Sheldon tells Sonny to sit quiet. We'll handle Sal. That's when he says to him, you're okay, but we're going to take this guy out. I think he's trying to. What do you think he's trying to do there? Do you think that he is trying to drive a wedge between them there for him? As he says, you think I'd sell him out, you fuck? Do you think he is trying to get him to sell him out, to hand him over?
100%.
Just surrender?
I think it's both ways. I'm like, I think he like puts it out there to see if he actually says something to Sal, or if he's just like, barking essentially, which is what he is doing. He doesn't go back inside and tell Sal. So I think he is like trying to point it out, like, we got you, but also it could work in the sense that like it's a bunch of different angles he's working, I think.
Yeah, I think it is different angles, John, as well, because I do think that because from the start, Sonny's been implying that Sal's the bigger threat than him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the cops are believing that, and they're thinking like, like a few times you see it throughout the movie, like when Maria's boyfriend tackles Sonny to the ground, the manager comes out and starts shouting. Sal can't see you. He says he's going to start killing us. Get back to you can see you. And even when the FBI mom and Sheldon says, can I come in and see the hostages? He says to him, I need to ask my partner. And he walks in and closes the door and doesn't ask Sal. He just says, the FBI is coming in.
Hmm.
right? So he's implying throughout this that I'm not the threat here. This guy's the threat. This guy's the one who's going to do the shooting. This guy's the one who's going to kill everybody. I'm harmless. I'm just going along because of him. I want out of this situation, but he's the one that's going to hurt people. And I think that is why maybe the FBI, Sheldon is saying, like, look, don't you worry about him. We'll take him.
Yeah.
Just you sit tight and we'll get you out of this.
I know he repeats himself too, which I like. He says it twice.
And as you to your point, when he comes back in again to the bank again, Sonny lies to Sal. He asks him what was that about, and he says he talked to him about the TV, and Sal says to him, "Well, why couldn't he have said that in here?" That's the first smart thing Sal said as all movie, and he says to him, he lies to him again, and he says he wanted to show them how the bus was coming in to take them away. So right away, for an audience member, you're thinking, right, he's gonna fuck him over here. He's gonna betray him. He's already betraying him. The fact that he's lying and using him and implying that this guy here is the one where you can see that Sonny's the one really driving this.
Yeah, he's doing all the manipulating.
Yeah, and then the manager Mulvaney collapses, and I love how Sonny says, "They've poisoned the pizza."
I know, that's what it must have been.
That's when they poisoned the pizza, and one of the girls says that poisoned the pizza. He's diabetic. So he goes out and he gets a doctor from the outside, and this is where Leon calls Sonny.
Yeah, and we finally are able to cut into that, and this is a great dialogue back and forth between the two of them.
Yeah, and we kind of touched on it earlier on the stream, but it is a very good scene. So it is back and forward, just the two of them, and you can kind of see how strung out Sonny actually is, and you kind of see a wee bit into their relationship here,
Yeah, it's a nice little peek in. Like he's very softer with him because they show this scene and then right after they show the scene with his actual wife, and you could just see how much he actually cares about Leon. But Leon, he's actually kind of genuinely scared. It makes you think that is Sonny like as violent and he's able to do this. I think Sonny's not really a violent person. I think that he's so scared of being the person he wants to be that like he lashes out, and unfortunately probably takes it out on Leon because he has to fake everything else in his life.
Yeah, exactly. And he says about that's the first time I believe you do. It's the first time you really see doubt or vulnerability with Sonny, because he has to be kind of the leader with, he said, or at the top of the ideas, and he's the one trying to think, how can I get out of this? How can I get out of this? Even though you're watching it and you're thinking, this isn't going to work. You're digging a deeper hole. Should have just give yourself up an hour ago. Then we wouldn't have a movie. But anyway, but this is the first time he says, I'm dying in here. And I love this line from Leon where he says, you're not dying, you're killing the people around you. And it's true, he is.
Yeah.
He's killing his first wife. He's killing Sal. He's killing the bloody hostages. He's killing his mother. He's pretty much killed his father. His father doesn't want to know him.
His father's already done with him. He was done with him before him. He doesn't even. He's just probably pretending that's not even his son out there.
Yeah, exactly. And then and then he also goes on to, he asks, as I said earlier, he asks Leon to come with him, and he says, where? And he says, Algeria. And he says to him, you're warped. And there's another great line as well, John. He says, they walk around with masks on, things on their heads. They're a bunch of crazy people. You could have picked a better place.
Yeah, well, I don't think Al Pacino knew much about Algeria before he picked the place.
No, he just threw it there. We're going to the sunny climes.
No.
He just like it's like he looked it up in the bloody a book of countries. It was the first one. Algeria. Let's go there. But yeah, this is what I was saying there about he says about Sal doesn't know where Wyoming is. You think I've got problems, but this is the scene as I was saying earlier on about they're all listening on the phone call.
Yeah, so he doesn't realize.
He doesn't realize. First of all, he says, "I went too far. I can't go back." He tries to talk him out. He says, "I went too far. I can't come back." And then he asks him to tell the cops that he wasn't involved. And that's what he says. Are they on the phone? Are they on the phone now? And he's like, Moretti, you there? Hello. And nobody's answering him. But you just see all the cops sitting around and listening.
Yeah,
intently.
Yeah, they're all there, and Leon immediately lies and says that no, now they're off the phone. Of course, I don't understand how Sonny believes this. Like they're going to hang up right away, like just because he said to. But whatever, that's Sonny.
Yeah, and as you say, like Leon's like, of course they're all here. He's like, 7,000 fucking cops, 7,000 fucking cops around me.
Such a New York thing to over exaggerate everything. That is very, very New Yorkish.
Yeah. So yeah. So then he gets he asked for the outside line to speak to his wife and kids. And that's what I'm saying. This is so, it just shows you as well, but the problems with his wife, John. He says about, she says about love, and he says, well, if it's love, why isn't she down there? And she first of all, she says she's scared they're going to kill her. And he's like, they're not after you, they'll kill me. And then she says, well, I was late when I found out about it, and I couldn't get a babysitter.
Bring the kids. She's just all these reasons. She's a selfish person. You can clearly tell.
Just all excuses, and that's when he hangs up on her. But as we touched on earlier, it's all this kind of like talking over him, not listening to what he has to say, not caring about his feelings. And I'm not trying to make a case for him, but you can kind of see why this relationship with his wife is not a healthy relationship.
No, they shouldn't be together. Like, regardless of Leon or not, this is not a healthy relationship anyway. And the kids can probably pick up on that eventually.
Yeah, exactly. So I say that. So he comes off the phone, and the doctor advises Sonny that Mulvaney should leave to get a cardiac check and for precautionary measures. Sonny agrees, but Mulvaney refuses. He says to him, "Don't pretend you're some kind of angel of human kindness."
Yeah, and that's right. Don't. I agree with that.
Yeah, and he just kind of shrugs and laughs it off. He's getting it from all quarters here.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much everyone's coming at him, pointing out all his flaws in one big section. Hey, you know what? Probably deserve that at this point. You're robbing a bank.
Yeah, he deserves it. This guy's he's not
gotta hear the truth at some point. This is probably the best time.
He's not a good guy at all. And of course, Mulvaney apologizes for using the F word. I love how he goes up and he goes, "Ladies, I just want to apologize for my language earlier," and walks off. And they're all like, "What did he say?" They didn't even know. What did he say? He says he said the F word. And they all start giggling. And I like that girl. It says, "I'm a Christian and my ears are not a garbage can."
I know, she's so offended by it. It's ridiculous. I would be fired immediately if that was such a big deal. Like, at any job I've ever been at.
Yeah, I know, exactly. And then Sonny's mum arrives. I love how they're talking. It's like, Sonny.
Oh my God.
Come on, Sonny.
This is great. My mom's here. Like, it's like he's getting picked up from the school dance or something.
Yeah, he's like, shit, it's my mother.
Like, oh, now I gotta go talk to her.
Yeah. And he suddenly, Lumet said that about this scene. He said to Pacino, play it like you're a child and your mum is coming to take you home from somewhere that you don't want to leave. And he said to her, he says, look, just you. He said to Pacino, you have lib, but don't react to what she's saying. And he says to her, just don't react to what he's saying, but just you say the lines that are in the script and just ignore everything he's saying.
And it works perfectly.
It's a brilliant scene. Like, he comes out and he's like, "Oh, what are you doing down here?" And she's like, she won't listen to him, blames his wife. You wouldn't eat Leon if Angie was treating you right, as if all his problems is Angie, which is, it's clearly not. I'm not implying that myself by not saying they're not in a healthy relationship because they're just not good for each other, obviously.
Yeah, but she's not the only reason. This guy is a very flawed human being, but it's her son.
Yeah, and that's when she even says, like, your father says he doesn't have a son, and he's just like, "Oh, right." It's almost like he's not surprised.
Yeah, again, like, he probably had written them off all before this anyway, and this is just the nail.
And his dad also said he never had the makings of a varsity athlete.
No, that's a big disappointment to his father.
See that Sopranos reference?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, that's right. That's all he ever wanted.
And he's like, "Get her home, okay? Just take her home." So he gets rid of her, and that's when Sheldon mouths the owl. So you see, kind of, I think if you see Sheldon's face there, that's almost like his last ditch effort. It's like, right, if this doesn't work, we're moving the van in and we're carrying out the plan. We're gonna shoot him, and we're going to this is where we'll make our move. That's what it almost feels like. And of course, then Sonny just kind of gives him a nod as if it's almost like he knows what's going to happen. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, let's just do this. He doesn't want to surrender.
No, he doesn't. And, like, unfortunately, that's why Sheldon gives him that. And I like how calm Sheldon is. I love that. With the 10, like, the way he does it, his mannerisms are, like, almost very slow and, like, moving along at a very, like, like, on his own time kind of thing.
Snake-like.
Yeah. I guess he is a bit of a snake in the grass, ain't he?
Mm-hmm. And you're right. There is that big contrast between him and Moretti, because, and I know Lumet said that he wanted there to be that contrast of this, as you said, New York cop wee bit sloppier, louder, kind of all over the place, kind of like, we'll do this for you, do you, where Sheldon's in a suit, wee bit more controlled, wee bit calmer, and just has a wee bit more of a plan.
Yeah, I think like this is a guy who's been through it, whereas unfortunately Moretti's flying off the seat of his pants. Like I always like we didn't really talk about like when he's like showing him that he doesn't have a gun and he pulls up his suit and everything. He couldn't wait to pull up that suit. He doesn't feel comfortable in that. He's just not that kind of guy. It feels like.
Yeah. So we have this scene where Sonny dictates his will to be written, and
It's a bank. There should be a notary there, so it should be fine.
Yeah, well, apparently this was a real will that the real guy actually wrote.
Oh, okay.
Word for word.
Oh, really? They do another misdirection here too when he says "to my wife" before he cuts. Like there's a slight pause before he. So we're like, which wife is he talking about? I like that.
To my darling wife, Leon.
Well, I'm near certain that I'm not sure if the studio wanted this in the movie, but Sidney Matt says he needed it. He says that's why I wanted to do the movie, was because of this will that he had left. And this is then the next scene is the bus arrives and Sonny asks if the black man's the driver. He checks out the inside, the seats, and then Sheldon tells Sonny Agent Murphy is driving, which is Lance Henriksen. This
first
was his
movie role.
his first movie role. He originally wanted to play Leon, but they said he wasn't right for it, and he got this role here. I forgot he was in this movie till I watched it again.
He looks so young. His hair is he's got a full head of hair and everything. Lance Henriksen, man, he's right. I could not imagine him as Leon. I'm sorry. He's always, every time I see Lance Henriksen, he's just always so direct and stern.
Yeah, he's a strange look about him, doesn't he?
Yeah, honestly looks a little robotic.
Robotic, almost insect-like with those eyes.
Yeah, you're right. He's definitely got a unique look. Like he's very original kind of person. But the way he speaks too, his speech patterns almost like no one else's.
Yeah, and you see him peppered throughout the movie in the background and stuff a few times, but this is the first time we're introduced to him, and I know he shows up in Close Encounters as well.
No, he's got that look, honestly, like an FBI agent, no matter what. Like this is like perfectly made for him.
Yeah, and a memorable first role, to be honest, for be only in it for really 10 minutes.
Gets big lines, and obviously one of the biggest moments.
But then Sonny tells him, "I want the black guy," and then he reneges, thinking he's the cop. So, do you think he was a cop as well?
I do. Yeah. I think no matter what, it was going to be a cop.
Yeah. Now, do you know what I always used to think years ago when I watched this? Why did he need one of the cops to drive the van? Why I always used to think, why didn't he pick somebody of the crowd and say, "You're driving," or one of the hostages who he could trust, like the manager? You're driving.
That's a
Why
good
did
point.
why again, big mistake? Why did he need a cop to drive them? Why couldn't he have drove himself?
Police escort, I assume he needed to get to the airport. So they were going to be there regardless.
Well, this is the thing as well, John, that I've noted down here. I'll get to it in a second. So in the bank, he goes back in the bank and Sonny tells everyone they're going and they get their stuff. And it's like they're going on bloody holiday. And he tells Sal to keep his eye on the driver. So he tells him, keep an eye on him. And they shuffle into the van. And Sheldon then tells him to follow his car. And this is where Murphy tells Sal to keep his gun pointed up. And I think I've written down silly Sal. I would have said, it's not coming off the back of your head, mate. Make sure you don't hit any bumps. Drive very carefully.
Sal's so stupid though. He acts like a child. Like it's almost like Fredo, like where he's like, "Oh yeah," like he remembered, like, "Oh yeah, that's a good point."
Hey Sal, do me a favor, will you? Keep the gun pointed up. We hit a bump and the gun will go off.
Yeah, and then he forgets again and drops it low again.
He does. He drops it. He has to tell him 3 times. So, well, that's the 3 that we see.
Yeah, he probably told him he probably like a father, like getting fed up.
Yeah, but I wouldn't cry. But listen, obviously we know the end of the movie, but watching it again, but I'm like, no, mate, I'm not taking it off the back of your head. Sorry.
Yeah, I know.
You're going to jail for 20 years here. You're going to end up dead. So you make sure you get me on that airplane, okay? But this is what you were saying there about the police escort. You see it's night. Like I said earlier, it's nighttime. You have the helicopter overhead. You have all the police cars circling it, and then giving them an escort. In my opinion, this was all orchestrated by the FBI and the police to disorientate Sal and Sonny. because you see them when they're in the car and they're kind of looking around. It's nighttime. You've got all this going on around them. It just distracts them. And I think that's all orchestrated on purpose by the police and the FBI.
I agree, 100%. This is all their plan.
And that is why you've got that police escort. Did they really need a police escort? Why do they need a police escort? Now I know that Sidney Lumet says that he wanted this scene to be kind of like, he wanted to show the crowds and to show that the cars coming up beside and people shouting and screaming and all. And okay, you could say, well, they needed the police there for that. But I just think it's a wee bit more going on there from the police's side of things, that this is all part of disarming these guys.
Yep, I agree 100%.
And of course, when they get to the airport, John, I love all those high shots they do from the helicopter showing the escort going to the airport.
Yeah, no, this is great. It's a great sequence because, again, you get to see the city at night and then them going to JFK. It's awesome. I love these shots.
Yeah, I was just waiting for Rocky 2 to kick in when they were going along. To the do.
Oh, I love that.
That was at nighttime, remember?
Yeah, the beginning of the Rocket. That's a great sting in that score too.
Yeah. And yeah, I love this. Like when they get to the airport, and it just shows you how the actual hostages are, empathetic to their captors now and don't really see them as a threat. When they decide, well, who's the hostage is going to go next? Because Sheldon comes up to the car and says, we get one more hostage. And he's like, yeah, who's going? And they says it's Maria. And she gives Sal the rosary beads. She says, don't be scared. I think that's actually very kind of sad as well, the fact that he was shot dead holding the rosary beads.
I know, and she's only doing that because she's so scared of flying. So it makes perfect sense why she would do that. She's a good person, but man, yeah, that makes you feel bad for Sal.
Yeah, definitely, because he, like you say, he is like a child. He's like a scared rabbit in the back of the car. But look, I can totally understand the point of view of the cops too. This guy could open up in a minute and take out,
They don't know him. They don't know him, and he's only been threatening. Like, you got to take him as seriously. Like, we see it because we're in the, with them, but they've only gotten a glimpse at him. They don't know how serious he is.
Exactly, John. You're right, 100% right there. And that's when Sonny says, Sal, are you ready to go? Sal says, yeah. And he says, okay, let's go. And Murphy says to Sal again, Sal, we don't want any accidents at this point, right? Keep your gun pointed up. And that's the gun up. And that's when Sheldon says to Murphy, says, you ready to get first? But he's already opened like the glove compartment with the guns hidden. And he says, I'm ready. And that's when it happens.
Yep. We get a bunch of quick edits here, so we get like confused. And then, we get the clear shot of him getting shot in the head.
Yeah. And right away, as quick as anything, to put that gun, when Murphy spins around and puts the gun to Sonny's head, the first thing, don't shoot. Right away.
He doesn't want to die, but he's caught. That's it. It's over for him, and he knows.
Yeah, well, he doesn't want to, but I get the feeling he knew that was going to happen.
He doesn't come off as shocked by it.
Yeah, I just get the feeling that he knew that something was going to happen. Yeah, but this is the thing as well that I like too. This was, John, it goes into my theory about how they perceive Sonny throughout this whole thing. Because Murphy, when they pulled Sonny out of the car and have got him on the bonnet, put his hands out and all the rest, they've got a gun to his head. And Sheldon walks over and says, he says to Murphy, you write the report. There's another cop has got a gun to Sonny, pointed at him. And Sheldon says to him, put the gun down. And he says to the other cop, you back off. So that's why, I don't see him as, I'm not saying he's not a threat, but they don't perceive him.
No, I think that they talked to him, and like everyone they've talked to said, like, he won't shoot anybody. He might be like angry and stuff, but like we don't see him as somebody who's violent.
So he's reading Miranda, and I love this, but just the sound effects of the aircraft, and it's just on Sonny's face, and he's watching as the hostages are taken away, and they've already turned their backs on him. Which I don't blame them, and Sal's being wheeled out in front of him. He sees Sal's body on the stretcher. And they just hold that shot on Pacino's face, which is absolutely brilliant acting.
Yeah, great facial acting. And it's Al Pacino, so it's not a surprise.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And when Sal gets put into the ambulance and as Sonny's been taken away, the camera just pans away, and I absolutely love that. And then you get that exposition about Sonny and Angie and Leon, that Sonny goes to jail for 20 years. Angie's still living on welfare with the 2 kids. And Leon is now a woman living in New York, just as the credits roll, and you can just hear the aircrafts, and that's it.
Yep. He served 5 years from what I looked up. I don't know about anyone else.
He served 5.
Yeah, of the 20-year sentence.
Right. Okay.
And he
Yeah.
died in 2012.
God, there you go.
So not too sure on everyone else's personal lives from the movie, but that I looked up.
Yeah. I mean, I remember a few years ago looking into like the actual events, and I know there's an awful lot of artistic license taken when making a movie. I can't remember too much about the actual events, but I do think that Pacino did try and contact this guy to speak to him to try and find out more about his character, and was unable to. He didn't want to speak to them. And I think that if you look it up, there was a bit of a legal case after this to do with the movie about how they actually perceived him in the movie.
Yeah, apparently he wanted more money and stuff, and that's kind of where a lot of his stuff, because they couldn't get anything with him. They only got anything from everybody around him. That was the only people that, like, he wouldn't speak to them at all. So everything is taken on for liberty in the sense that without his permission, I guess.
Yeah. Well, movies do that, but as I say, just an overall absolutely amazing film.
Oh, 100%. This is a fantastic film. One of the best heist films that you'll ever see. And, it's unique in the sense that it takes place. You see the entire thing from the beginning to end. That's the movie from the start. That's what we see right to the end. That's when the movie cuts off, right when it all ends. It's almost like it's one of the perfect 1970s films. Al Pacino, one of his career best performances. Like, I think you were saying you think this is his best. It's hard to debate it. This is such a unique character with so much levels of emotion that we could sit here and try and like dive into like what he's thinking the entire day. It's just so much in that character.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is why I think it's his best performance. Is it my favorite performance of Al Pacino? I don't know if it's my favorite performance, but it is definitely one that I really, really like. I think this character goes through so many, you said about 14 hours, whatever, like so many different complex and different emotions, and it shows you all his different relationships with different people in his life over the space of that time within 1-2 hour period. And it's not to say that he hasn't done that in other movies, but usually with other movies, it's like he's in different, because it's not set over one short space of time, it's different. Yeah, I mean, I if you were to ask me what's his best performance, I'm gonna say Dog Day Afternoon. And the film had done the gross between 50 and 56 million at the box office in 1975. So on a $4 million budget, that was a big hit.
Big hit. Al Pacino was nominated for Best Actor. The film was nominated for Best Picture. Obviously, Cuckoo's Nest that was their year. They took everything, even beating out Jaws, your beloved, unfortunately. R.I.P.
I know. I think it was nominated for 6 Oscars. The one Best Screenplay, and yeah, as you say, I think it was Best Supporting Actor for Chris Sarandon as well. But he only won 1 Oscar, so they didn't get any other. But they got nominated for Best Editing, which Jaws won. So
Jaws got its Oscar. Had to get something. You could argue Spielberg should have won Best Director that year. I think at the very least for what he had to go through to make that movie come to life. But hey, this is how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. This movie was a big hit, and I think that if you look at 75, I think that for me personally, now I haven't seen Barry Lyndon. For me personally, the 3 best movies of the year is Jaws, and Cuckoo's Nest, and Dog Day Afternoon, in that order for me. So I think for as much as I rip on the Oscars, I think they got at least those 3 right to be nominated for Best Picture. I can't remember what the other. I think there was another one. Was Barry Lyndon, or was there another 2? I can't remember.
Barry Lyndon is great. New 4K coming out next month of that.
I actually have it. I have it in Blu-ray. I've never watched it.
It's one of the most beautifully shot films you'll ever see. It's not my most rewatchable when it comes to Stanley Kubrick. I haven't seen it in years. I have the Blu-ray too, so when I revisit it, we'll see how I feel about it after all these years. But it's a good one, if I remember right.
I need to get round to watching it. I have a Stanley Kubrick box set, and that's in it, and I just haven't got round to watching it. Yeah. So I think from the movies that they nominated for Best Picture, I think they got it right.
I think so. That's the safer choice. Cuckoo's Next. We've got the big performance in there, so it makes a lot of sense. And David, this isn't the only Al Pacino bank robbery movie we'll be talking about this month. In fact, you could say that we do a full 180 on Al Pacino when it comes to this movie.
Yeah, 100%. We are, as we mentioned at the end of the Tombstone episode, this is Bank Robber July, and coincidentally, it's 2 movies with Al Pacino, so we'll be feeling a little heat in our next episode. Not the heat of a Dog Day Afternoon, but the heat of the law coming down on us, where Al Pacino actually plays a cop this time.
Yeah, he's on. He's a cop. All right, he's a little crazy in this movie.
Yeah, he's a cop who's on something, and by all accounts, and he's that wee bit of an older Al Pacino, so he's got that bit more of a graveler voice.
I'm sorry that the chicken's overcooked.
Yeah, he's got a great ass
And you had your head all the way up it.
all the way up it.
Yeah, this is a 90s Al Pacino, which is very different from 70s Al Pacino.
Yeah, very much so. You know, still love Al Pacino.
Oh yeah, I'm not. That's not a knock against him.
No, definitely not.
No,
And,
but yeah,
and the more I see Heat, the more I appreciate it.
I love Heat. So I can't wait to talk about it. And are we splitting this up into 2 parts?
I think we may have to. It's a long one.
Yeah, so I think that's the plan. So, in 2 weeks' time, look for the Heat Part 1 and then Heat Part 2 sometime after that. So, but anyway, guys, thanks for being here with us. We had a lot of fun breaking down Dog Day Afternoon. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends about us, and then we'll be seeing you around.